Action. Okay. So like before, our game is going to be recorded. It is going to be posted on my YouTube channel, which I can make sure to ensure anybody who has a streaming tag, just send me the correct streaming tag and I'll put you in the description. So that way everyone's getting called out the way they should be. Okay. Now I am going to do something real quick. Before we get too far, I want to double check to make sure my audio sounds okay. Because I do have, again, that voice changer. So I'm going to turn on real quick and just make sure it sounds good to you guys and that it works. So, does the voice sound change on here for you guys? Does it sound different to you?
It kind of sounds like your
I
voice.
definitely hear that.
But like...
Sounds like you're talking from the bottom of a well, kind of, with a bit of reverb.
Yeah, like the reverb, like there's multiple of your voice lines.
Yeah, the voice is supposed to be
It's a bit difficult to hear you as well. It's definitely lower volume.
Yeah, the volume could be turned up. The gain, boost, whatever it's called in that application.
Moop. Weird.
Yeah, I could barely hear you past the two of them talking.
Okay.
We have the same headset, Oro?
I have the HyperX Cloud Alpha wireless.
The Alpha. Mine's the HyperX Cloud 2 wireless.
Does that sound any louder to you guys?
Who knows?
Not really.
It sounds a bit louder, yeah. I'll try saying a sentence.
This is a test to see if you can make me out at all.
Yeah, the problem isn't
It's a little
hearing.
difficult.
The problem isn't hearing and understanding you. In my case, it's just if anybody else is talking, they're gonna drown you out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like your volume is just very low.
Interesting. But I'm fine when I'm talking like this.
Yep, it gets quieter
Oh,
when
yeah,
you
perfectly
use the.
That's
Voice
so
modifier.
strange. Like, that is very strange. Oh, well.
All right.
I'm gonna have to speak. I'm gonna have to eat my mic when I go to do that. Don't talk. No jokes about deep throating now. What's going on? Was someone gonna say something? Okay.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna order pizza right now over the phone. So I'm gonna have to get down from where I'm at for roughly a minute when that happens. But aside from that, I'll be here the entire time.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, so, all right. Hope you guys are enjoying this my systemic music as we are going here.
Mhm.
I just realized. Okay.
Just watched Oro get flashbanged.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I think you.
You wanna really see me get flashbanged?
Good lord.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
All right.
yeah.
So, I hope everybody had a good time over the last couple of weeks, taking an opportunity to roleplay in the chats, as well as kind of explore anything any questions that you had for your characters. As a introduction for this game, it is important to note that we will have another person joining us. This is going to be. I never did ask you what you wanted to have wanted to go by, or best twin. How would you like? Would you like me to go? Which name would you like me to call you on air?
Just call me Nick. That's fine.
Okay, so Nick will be joining us. For those who have read the history, you do have some information on who this is. He will be playing Felandrian, which is the
Zethris.
second prince.
Yep.
Zethris, thank you. Who is the second prince of Amratlas. He is the one who, for you guys, was friend. Like, you guys were okay with pretty young, but once you guys started becoming the quote-unquote worthless, that is when he kind of took a back step here, and that was largely because for him, he wasn't considered worthless by any means. He still had he had jobs to do as a second prince. That said, he did behind the scenes tend to help you guys a little bit. Of the whole party, Sage would have been the only one who would have been a little bit more aware of kind of the fact that he was behind the scenes helping the party in certain cases, more because of his family letting him know, like that conversation has happened a couple of times. but for the most part, he didn't go out partying with you guys too often. If the few times that he did, it would have been something along the lines of like a caretaker or there for a bit of time before leaving. You guys would know that Felandrian was also known for a time for being a people's prince. He was always constantly out among the population, getting to know their needs and help people overall be better. He was very much the spokesperson for ensuring that the city guard maintained the proper decorum and treatment of anybody who broke the law. That being said, it was still his brother who was kind of favored in a way. In that case, he was very similar to you guys, in that Felandrian was second fiddle to his brother. The older brother constantly was the one who was groomed to be the next king, and that was always the case. You guys met up with him as you guys were traveling east towards the remnants of Herald to learn more about what was going on, during which you did meet up with him, and he was kind of a help in you guys trying to get back into Amratlas overall. Now, during the last battle that took place, you guys, all of the Worthless did separate, going underground towards the Pact Stone, except for Seraphine, who went over to deal with her parents' broadcast magic. But Felandrian, as well as the Prince of the Remnants, did actually go after the king himself, because in order for the pact to be broken, both the king, who was the other focal point, and the Pact Stone need to be destroyed at the same time. If one survived, the other would inevitably return. And now, as far as what the consequence of that battle is, you have no idea. No, as soon as the battle ended, you never saw Felandrian. You don't know, other than the fact that clearly the king died, you have no idea what truly happened in that situation. What I can attest to, though, is just remembering that Felandrian and the king in themselves were important here, because the king, the original king that formed the pact back when you're with your ancestors, is the same king that was here today. The king was a part of a line that every time the new prince went to take the throne, the original king would overwrite that personality, taking on that new body, and so thus there was a constant connection to the original founding members of the pact itself. And that's something that was clearly destined for his older brother, but given the fact that his older brother did perish with the rest of your siblings when they unfortunately ended their lives as a trigger for all that's happened in the rise of the Worthless, that was when Felandrian discovered and kind of found out what was really going on, and is what changed his mind to try and help you guys. So, just as a heads up on that situation, before he was a kind of magic knight, that he was very much a martial type fighter. That was the last memory you had of him, and you haven't seen him since woken up. You have no idea if he's alive or dead. Obviously, with Nick joining us, that means he is alive. But you guys should find him here pretty soon. Okay. All right. Is there any questions about the game? Last game, or anything I need to clarify from the last events that took place before we start now?
There are no.
Really?
Oh,
Go ahead, Jen.
Oh no, I was just saying no.
Okay. If it's okay, I'm gonna make that phone call for that pizza.
Okay, back to recording then. So, actually. All right. So we last left off with you guys entering into the fractal gate that led into Oranos. Now, give me just a moment to bring up my music here.
very dark.
All right. So, before you lies a city. Large, definitely alien appearance, given the somewhat futuristic but also archaic in some places designs of the buildings around you. You see people, even at this distance, you can see people that are dressed in finery, that is almost similar in fashion to what you had back in Amratlas, but it's almost like it's a very common design. Everyone seems to dress as if they're going to some ball or some sort of fancy location. Very similar, in fact, dress to what you remember to what Braum wears for the men, and women are dressed very similarly to how in several places you've seen both Rilame for the most part, but also sometimes Rococo dress. But you guys find yourselves moving over a large section of the city, and now as you guys are watching, staring at in an awe at the unusual sight of this city on all sides, though you have Braum behind you who has seen it before, it still doesn't stop giving that sense of awe when you see it for the first time, especially when you're not used to this anywhere else.
Uh-oh.
That was dead. That was dead.
Okay.
But as you guys are traveling out, you hear some calls from both high and low of the ship, as crew are giving orders to in order to progress further into the city. The sails are dropped, these strange shimmering fabrics, and while the oars are pulled in as well, you notice there's a whirring noise beneath the ship that gives a rumble to the deck itself. Now, Braum, you're well aware of what's happening. These are your landing thrusters. The ship does have these engines underneath it that are used in the city, as there is no solar wind or wind from or any force coming from the planes themselves that normally would power the sails of a squall. Now, the ship seems to be almost coasting, gliding downwards towards a part of the city that, Braum, you are familiar with. That is, it is the home of the Court of Squalls, as well as the home that you have grown up in, at least the last couple of years, the Forlorn District. The Forlorn District is so named because once long ago, there was a very powerful individual who attempted to take over the city at large. In that failure, it brought down a great calamity upon the city, destroying much of the homes that were here. While it has been rebuilt since those events, it has been named the Forlorn District specifically because of the loss of what once was. A lot of history had been here before and is now missing, gone completely, leaving a form of disassociation with the culture and the identity of what this district used to be. Exactly, in fact, to the point that what it used to be, only a few remember. Now, you guys are dipping your way down towards, let me see where it is here. You guys are going to actually be dipping down towards the center lake here on the right. As you guys are moving towards that section, you see a great many ships of different designs. Seem to be made of crystal in some places, or metallic ships, which, to your knowledge, shouldn't even be able to float the way that they are. And you do see that the water is clear, very clear. And yet, despite that, you don't see any depth to it, no bottom to these waters. And you come gracefully onto the waters, where you hear a cry of everybody brace, which is, some of you have known, especially when you were back on the ships traveling the ocean, meant simply being you were coming to a stop and you needed to brace for impact. Now, is there anybody who is not going to brace for impact, or is there anybody who is going to try and do something perhaps a little silly?
Oh, I definitely will brace.
Don't fucking tempt me like that. Use your words better. You know that makes me want to.
God gives his strongest battles to his silliest soldiers.
Fine. Where am I on the ship when this is yelled?
You guys are all, for the most part, on the main deck of the ship, perhaps towards the front, given the view is the best at that particular angle. There is a railing around the ship, but you could easily jump it if that's what you are looking to do.
how far are we from the ground? if we're
Oh,
about
wait
to-
a minute. No, last you were up front with Rococo because Rococo was holding you up
Huh?
like the Titanic style.
Yeah. So I should be able to see over the front. How far up are we if we're about to make land?
Maybe, given the depth at this point, when they call that out, you're about 20 feet up. You are coming to a graceful landing. So it is not something that is like they're not dropping 20 feet instantly. It's slowly going towards that point.
Okay, and the port side is where the board is, I assume. We've seen this previously.
Correct.
For the walkway. So if I were to jump forward off the bowsprit, is there walkway there, or would I be jumping into some kind of what looks like reserved area that I shouldn't be?
You'd be in the water. I mean, you guys are still coasting into the water itself, and then you're likely going to come around. So you can jump into the water if you like to, but you have no idea what's beneath it, because again, even though it is clear, you don't see anything down below.
Why are you like this? I have to dive.
That's gonna have a fun time with you if you just accept every challenge thrown your way.
Hey, listen, if we die, we die. That's a part of D&D. Is you
guess so.
accept where the story goes. Silly man sees a chance to dive gracefully off of a bowsprit perfectly in front of the ship as it comes
Yeah,
to dock.
if you would
It
like,
sounds too
if you would like to roll to resist your temptation, you can always roll your sanity.
good. Sure, that sounds perfect.
Come on,
Let's
silly
roll
man.
my +0 sanity.
Oh my god.
Boy.
Not bad. 13's fine. Perhaps a small part of you, maybe siphoned off of your partner who is holding you, tells you that given the speed at which you're moving, jumping off might very well end with you being smacked against the outer hull of the ship and dragged through the water. Now, you may not know what a keel haul means, but Brahm does.
I don't want to be dragged under the ship.
Yeah.
For anybody paying attention, Sage looks forward, hears the call, looks down, gets excited, then looks very disappointed, and doesn't do anything.
Yeah, not much graceful about that sort of outcome.
But yeah, so is there anybody who's not bracing for at this point?
I 100% am.
I get in the air so I don't get the shakies.
Are you still holding Rococo? Or not? Are you still holding Sage?
No, I would have dropped him by this point.
Just no.
Right.
Hands off. All right.
He's on the on the deck.
So, what is it? Sage looks forward, Sage looks up, he hears the yell, he looks down because he wants to dive into the water, he realizes it would be unsafe, he's very disappointed, then he looks up at Rococo and looks disappointed again and grabs the railing.
And Zirin, is there anything you're going to do special here?
Oh, sorry, I didn't think it was muted. No, fuck no. I think I was up on the crow's nest from where Brown told me to go.
Yeah.
So I'm grabbing whatever the fuck I can that's just gonna sturdy enough to keep me. I'll lay on the ground and just grab hold if I have to. I don't give a fuck.
I've
learned my lesson about falling off shit.
The beastman who's up there with you, he looks like he's perhaps has some weasel in him. Finds it hilarious that you are doing so, but also grabs onto the center mast of the crow's nest to hold on. As you guys come to to the surface of the water, you feel the water, the tension as you strike. There is a moment where the ship rattles and you heave as the speed already begins to slow. Finally, as just a few seconds later, the ship is coasting gracefully across the water. The engines have stopped, the rumbling has finished. Once more, some of the oars are placed out, only a few in this case, to start moving forward. As you guys are pulled around into such a degree that port is now placed against the entryway to the docks.
Perfect.
Now,
So we're near the we're now docked, right?
you guys are still coming around at this particular moment, but likelihood is given your
Okay,
experience
but
with
it's slow
ships.
enough. It's slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's slow enough
Mhm.
that, like, you know, like how if somebody fell off a ship, you wouldn't like be like too far away.
Yeah. Correct.
All right. Assuming that both me and Sage are on the deck, I do a prank war and try and push him over the side.
Difference.
Okay. Can I react, Matt?
Yeah, you have the opportunity. I was going to have you, like, if you would like to try and resist to the moment, that's...
Sage immediately realizes this is his chance to make up for not getting to dive, and does not resist the push at all. In fact, he jumps, so the push propels him forward, and he is upwards, and he bends at the waist and dives as gracefully as possible.
I will
into
give
the water.
you a chance here. You can roll your acrobatics to attempt to provide the best show here.
Okay.
Oh, that is not good.
Yes.
Um,
I want him to swan dive and just sort of smash.
Oh no!
Have
Just
we
like
gone
you
forward
know.
just far enough that he hits pavement?
no. I can tell you exactly what happens, but you can use 2 bennies to try and re-roll if you're interested.
I mean, I had some like player bennies that I used all of, so do I just have?
Everyone starts the game with 2 unless you have a character benny provided.
I think I have a character.
No.
benny extra.
No. We are learning to go with the flow. I don't need to re-roll everything.
Okay.
Hee, ha, ha.
Run it.
All right. So what happens as you dive off the edge? You do the leap up, you bend forward, you touch your fingers to your toes in a beautiful dive. As you go flying down, an errant breeze strikes you, flips you over, and you slap belly first right into the water with an amazing crack that echoes across the water.
I'm just picturing.
Everybody on the dock goes, ooh.
and
How high up is this again?
The ship is there are 3
like 20
main
feet,
decks.
right?
Well, you're about 40 feet up. I mean, there were several decks beneath you, so you hit
My belly
hard.
hurts.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing his like long black coat just like kind of on the surface of the water.
It just slowly sinks in. Some
Oh.
plays that.
Rom is Rom is gonna see this. He's gonna panic a bit. He's gonna open up his pack, grab this whole length of rope, and then charge over to the side of the ship and just haul it over.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. You also know for a fact that about 30 feet down in the water, there are actual crystals that if you were to dive far enough down, you would have skewered yourself.
So I was thinking Sage, belly first, would just kind of accept this for a second, because he's not going to suffocate in like 5 seconds, but like open his eyes in the water. Does it sting at all? Does it seem like normal water to us?
Oh, it's fresh water. It's almost like fresh water to you. Oddly enough, it actually has a weird, it's almost impossible not to have swallowed some of the water in that, and it does taste very sweet, in a weird way.
Beautiful.
But as you open your eyes, you look straight down and you see a sea of glittering light underneath you. And it doesn't take much before you realize those are crystals. The entire bed of the ocean is filled with crystals that are very, very translucent, and likely why you couldn't see them from up high.
How far?
You almost
given
skewered
the
yourself.
Belly top. If they're not that far, can I go down just a little ways to like put my hands on one?
They're
Is that
deep.
possible?
It is about 20-30 feet deep. You'd have to swim down. In this section it is deeper in other places, but you do know that, as you saw in the image here, there is a pretty large section that is a towering crystal, crystal
Right,
formation
out of the water.
water. It's just that it's just like any other seabed. There's you have some place, you have pits and valleys, right? And you have hills and valleys. So right now in this situation, it would take you a minute, but you are in pain. Your body is hurting.
Yeah.
So
Could I maybe like a constitution at all?
I don't think that you would be able to in that situation. Your breath is
Okay.
like you swallowed because you were
It's
trying to
gone.
inhale.
Okay, so we're suffering. It's not like, oh, my stomach
Oh.
hurts because I belly flopped. It's
No.
like I am in pain.
Yeah, because
Okay.
you smacked full force, just wham, right onto the water surface that was relatively, like you happened to hit in a place that there wasn't, the tension hadn't been broken yet, so it was full force impact.
Okay. In Sage's head, I mean, we love shiny. We love crystals. He wishes to return here at some point, take a swim. Just an innocent swim. Not gonna try and break off the city's crystals underground or anything. Just a swim.
All right.
But yeah, we'll float back up to the surface and try to get the fuck out of the water.
Is there anybody else doing anything while Braum is tossing the rope over and Sage is rethinking his life decisions and what is likely going to happen here shortly, when his life decisions have gone the wrong direction?
Rilame will watch in concern, not really being able to do anything until she makes sure that Sage is still alive.
Sage,
In which case she will, I guess, investigate if they're disembarking. Is that the word?
Yep. You do hear from some of the beast people around you. You hear a couple of chuckles followed by "There's always at least one. There's always one."
That bad, huh?
I
One of them.
telepathically communicate.
Go ahead.
I telepathically communicate to Sage and I go, "How many points was that worth? You look like a tomato."
new plane of existence, new slate. That's 3 points for Coco. Wet Sage.
One of the things the
It
beastling
looks like
the beastman does say in that moment as this communication is going on in response to Rilame, they say, well, at least he seems to have survived, some don't. There are some quickly discover that the crystals underwater are sometimes a little taller than they expect.
She pales a little bit at that thought.
One of them,
So,
one of them is like smacks the it's like a cock. He's like a rooster, and so one of the other ones nearby gets like smacks him across the shoulder and is like, "Stop! No one's ever died, but they've been injured."
So, where are we heading, I guess?
Well, and you see like Braum is like hauling that rope up, dragging poor Sage. Sage, unfortunately, given the angle, you are being dragged, like bumping against the ship the whole way up.
Just hanging on his shoulder, just.
See, I could fly down there, but this is much funnier.
It's a learning lesson. Zirin, you got the most shook up there, given unfortunately the laws of physics. You're shooken up a little bit up there, but shortly after you hear, ooh, so it was the clown man who decided to take the dip. I was wondering who it would be. My vote was for you.
Some people don't have a great self-control.
But that said, and I see that Artan has joined us. So what is Artan doing in this moment?
Hello,
This is
Wandi.
what I get. Hello, this is what I get for being an hour late.
You guys are touching down into the water here.
Quick, I'm so sorry I had to ask this. What happened? Thank you so much. I'll wait until you start the recording again.
We're good. Go ahead.
At that point, I would run over to the after seeing what transpired, run over to the rope where Braum is and help pull Sage up.
So Sage, you're getting bounced much faster across the deck as against the side of the ship as you're being hauled up faster and faster, to the point that you are basically just yeeted off the side of the ship into the air about a couple of feet and then just right onto the deck.
And I make a roll to save to catch him.
He just flops around on the deck like a fish.
I want to catch him in my arms.
You know what? It's fine by me. Unless he wants to try and avoid this, you are going to be caught in Artan's arms. I see he's thinking about it.
No. Is it? Do you think dexterity to flail around like a fucking madman with no sense of safety?
I mean, you could just flail around. Is your intention to try and maybe hit him?
We're not gonna call that an intention, because that would make it assault. But if it happened,
Be careful, my reflexes will drop you maybe back into the water again.
Well, you guys are back on board, and as the ship is moving back towards the docks, there was a moment where it looks like they were giving you guys a little extra time. The weasel in the crow's nest is going to grab Zirin and say, "All right, let's go down. If we go any longer, we're going to be the last one to get some chow." And he's just going to start clambering his way back down towards the ship.
I'll go with. I'll be like, you have to drag me with, but okay, fine.
All right. Well, as you guys finally, go ahead. Oh, okay. Say
no,
something.
sorry. Go ahead, please.
Yep. So, as you guys effectively land and finally dock with the actual outboard here, the gangplank gets shoved out. The captain, Captain Zierden, is going to come over to you where you guys are gathered, and to kind of eye up and down Sage for a moment, with no real expression on her face as to what she feels about it, before she looks over towards Brahm. She says, "Brahm, I am going to take a moment to speak with the court. Do me a favor and bring these hooligans over to speak with the Apostle of the Watcher. You may want to take a moment, however, and see to them tidying themselves up a bit before speaking before such a prestigious individual." She's
I
clearly.
know some of us got dressed.
Yeah, most of you guys got dressed, but that's clearly a jab more at Sage than anybody else.
Oh, there was also who was it that tore their dress?
That was me.
Rococo.
Oh, that's Rococo.
Yeah.
Rococo.
Does the dress look
Yeah.
decent even if torn, or is it clearly like frayed in some areas?
I will leave that to. Would you like me to roll for that, John?
I mean, the way I had torn it was basically it's the floofy part underneath is gone, and it's basically like a knee-high skirt now.
Still presentable in that case, then. Definitely, you would say that if for a more formal attire, it wouldn't, but it would likely pass in more or less as like your Sunday best for some of the more poorer folk.
Rococo just got called one of the pores.
Okay.
He's not wrong.
Brahm will nod his head, and then look to Sage, and then look back to the captain, and then look to Sage. And he's just gonna say in kind of like a low voice meant only for Sage, "Oh yeah, I suggest you lay out, or you can dry off in the sun. I don't want to hear your boots squeaking the whole way through."
Sage, are these? Well, I guess it depends on what kind of boots. If they're lace up or if they're just kind of like the sailor boots that you just slip on. But yeah, we'll just take the boots off and we'll go lay. It looks like directly outside this small dock building, there's just grass. Would I be able to see that from here?
Yes, there definitely is quite a bit of like the dirt here is more like a beach than anything else.
Okay.
Some gravel, but yes, on the other side you guys could see that it looks like a park over here. Given its design, there's definitely a lot of love and attention brought into this park. There's quite a number of different statues. There are crystal formations sticking out of the ground in multiple locations, flowers of all different types, many of which you're not familiar with. Even from here, you can see that there are people kind of going to and fro as just about their day. Now, that said, finally the captain's going to look at everybody else, and she is going to nod shortly. She says, "I am going to do my best to speak on behalf of you to the court to try and assist you. I will take what you have told me about your circumstances and see what I can find that might benefit you in some fashion. I would, however, outside of the Apostle and us, not speak about of your origins. It may not go over well here.
You mean Zitagol?
She's just going to look at you in confusion and say, Primoria.
I think. Yeah, I was gonna say. I think she means Primoria.
I know what I'm doing
So now
here.
she thinks we're making shit up even more.
No, we mentioned Zetagal before. I think.
A bit, yeah, but not in like it's like someone's like, hey, go to this town I once lived at, and we had a 3-day conversation. It's like, are you gonna remember the random name someone mentioned? But
Right.
in this case, she's gonna say there are going to be a number of individuals coming to the docks. If you would like to take them over to either your home or spend some time in the park, in the Unity Park, they will be here soon. And she gestures in a way to Braum that, while the rest of you wouldn't understand, Braum would understand as a form of signal on who it would be. A retainer that you only know as the name LB. Exactly what that means, you're not entirely sure, but that is the term. The person is just a rather nondescript, average individual who also does serve the Watcher at the cathedral as well.
Limp Biscuit?
I mean, I thought Limit Break.
I went Limit Break too because he also said Retainer, and I was like, oh boy, Final Fantasy.
Right?
Yeah, but Limp Biscuit's funnier.
You guys are going to a concert.
Give me some of those biscuits.
So, my question is, why do we need council approval to be here? I thought we were called here specifically to meet with the Watcher, as it was the Watcher's essentially intention for you to rescue us.
The Apostle did provide to us information on where you'd be, and our instruction is being followed. However, you all seem to have to at least lack some of the more common understandings of Oranos. It is good to have someone with you who can guide you to the appropriate location. You are welcome here, as all travelers are. My duty is to report to my government. As I mentioned, I am a squaller. The Court of Squalls are the local government, you can say. We are in charge of the day-to-day activities, but you are not the only ones who I had to handle. You were an interruption of our duties. As such, I must report on what I am doing, but I will also report at least that we made a sidestep. Some of the information you provided me may be beneficial if it can be validated, and if I can use it to leverage to your benefit, I will. You are welcome here, however. I wouldn't wander out without taking Braum with you, or one of the other retainers. As an example, and she
study this big, we disappear.
And she gestures to some of your towards your belt pouches, which is where some of you did retain a few coins from your trips before. He says, as an example, the funds that you have are not viable here. We do not utilize gold. We do not utilize silver. We utilize chips as a form of currency. As such, Braum, if you can, do me a favor and ensure that any funds that they need are charged to my account, and I will ensure that they are paid for, and I will exchange on a rate of 1-to-1. Now, Rilame, that is important to understand that also if taken at her word, that would mean that she's willing to trade copper, gold, and silver for equal amount, which is very unusual, because then that wouldn't be the case anywhere else.
Right.
Now, you guys do know a bit of... Go ahead, Braum.
Oh yeah, Braum would like to chip in. And now, keep in mind, that's not your money. We're here to cover food, clothes, and a roof over your head. And he fixes everybody with an even stare, taking about a second per person. And that means no whorehouses.
Yeah,
I worked
Sage.
at a whorehouse for a while.
Yeah, Sage, I see your face.
I mean, I've got a mobile one on the boat already. We're fine.
Damn.
Alrighty.
Cannon.
Is that canon? No, I don't imagine. But the captain is going to give you a curt bow, something that she doesn't give to anybody else. At the very least, she seems to understand that if you are what you say you are, then she should show you some level of respect as a noble. But she definitely, from where you're from, she would be barely respecting you at all with that level of bow.
To
But
be fair, I think we're used to it at this point.
I mean, some people tend to respond to you really well, some didn't at all. But in this case, it's just the way she is. Finally, she says, I leave you in Brom's care. You may leave your gear here, any of your supplies here if you wish to. They will be transported wherever you do end up. And I'm sure we will see each other later. She is going to think for a moment. Brom, if you do not have room for them at your place, I haven't been there quite some time. I'm not sure what you have room for anymore. Go ahead and take them to the Twisted Sister. I'm sure that the owner, who owes me a thing or two, we'll at least be able to put them up for a few days.
I think I should have some spare space for them. Maybe not enough beds, but the floor is comfortable enough, right?
She nods like that's completely, all right and true. Before she finally she looks at the rest of her crew, who is already starting to perform their duties, getting ready to disembark, and she says, "Then I shall take my leave." And she simply about faces and leaves as if that was all she has to say.
So, Brom, now that the captain's gone, are you and her, is there a thing? A little bit? Because if there is, I can help with that.
Now, what are you suggesting, necessarily?
Working with someone of potentially, opposite sex, or someone you might be attracted to. You build bonds of camaraderie, and sometimes that camaraderie there are feelings, and in those feelings there are things that are desired to be reciprocated, but sometimes someone doesn't have the courage to confess their feelings to a person outwardly without the need of a little assistance.
Brom has no idea what she's talking about. He's going to assume that she means friendship.
Wow, that's not the first party member to do that, is it? How's it?
And he's gonna say, "Yeah, I wouldn't say we've been having issues with it, but yeah, there is something there."
Whoa, so there's something. Okay, well,
There is something.
the first thing that you should do.
How obvious is it that Brom has no idea what she meant?
That's your call. That's your call, Brom.
He's a bit confused, but what he's saying is genuine. So you don't really know for sure if he gets the gist of what you're saying.
All right.
I'll tap Brom on the shoulder and ask, if anytime can we stop at the park?
Well, the park, you say? What for?
Do you have any animals here?
Yes, there are animals here. They tend to come wild from some of the different planes. They're nowhere. They're similar in most cases to what you would find on Primoria. Not that you obviously know that, Brom, but yeah, you have deer, you have squirrels, you have birds, you have anything. For the most part, you do tend to have, due to Oranos' nature, there do tend to be a lot more avian creatures than anything else, due to the nature of you having to fly around from those things.
Yeah, I'd say we got a fair number of critters around here. Why did you want to know?
He'll stutter a bit and nothing. And, oh, one more thing. Do you by chance have any breadcrumbs or bread?
You're.
Look, it's been a little while since we got to just
bread.
relax.
We could make crumbs out of the bread.
It's been a little while since we got to just relax.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, you want to watch the birds. That's fine. We could definitely make a detour down by the park, relax for a bit. I'm sure you'd appreciate some solid land.
Artan's eyes just glow when he just takes that as a yes. It's like, really? It's like, I'll say less.
And I'm sure we can find some flowers there that we could turn into a nice bouquet for you to give to the captain.
Oh, that's fine and all, but not the tended flower beds. They tend to get a bit ornery when you start pulling up flowers left and right.
Oh.
I can imagine that.
So
But wildflowers, feel free.
Hearing that we are taking that detour, which is literally right in front of us, right? That's the park, I'm assuming, Matt?
Correct. The
one
Forlorn
just
Unity
outside
Park.
the dock?
Correct.
Yeah, and Sage was previously told to dry off instead of squeaking the whole way. So he's got his shoes off. He's currently removing his jacket. And then, I mean, if we're just outside the building, how far would you say I am from the sand?
Oh, if you were to just exit past the building, you are right off the edge of the dock. There's sand right there.
Yep. So Sage is going to kind of partially hang the jacket over the railing, drop the shoes on the wood so that they can dry in the sun, and he's going to just leap over the railing, do like the 180 mid-air to where his back is facing the ground, and just land in the sand.
Perfect.
And that's it. He's just sunbathing now. He's drying off.
Nice.
His back is going to be covered in sand.
Yes.
Stick to him.
Sage
Wow.
fixes one problem at a time.
While Sage does that, I quickly scurry off to around the ship, asking if anybody has bread that they can lend.
I don't think you lend bread typically, but
Are you a bird?
It's
I don't think they're getting that bread back.
Can I have bread tomorrow, please?
There's like one crew member who's like part bird. You just walk up and go, "Caw, oh, you want some bread? Here you go."
Let's do a check here. Yes,
Damn.
there is you do see come across what looks like a humanoid creature with the head of a crow, with black wings. You're not entirely sure what this creature is, other than it's probably one of these beast creatures that everybody else seems to be. And you, as you ask that question, it cocks its head to the side and reaches in and pulls out looks like a flat piece of some sort of bread. It's fluffy, about a good inch across, but relatively wide, like a dinner plate. And he
Sounds yummy.
hands it over to you, and you do notice that there does seem to be perhaps some sort of cheese on the top of it, like a fine grated cheese.
Never mind, I mean more.
But you do notice too that the bread does seem like it's toasted, like a light toast to the top of it, and you're not sure. Again, it looks like cheese to you, but that's all you know. And he just hands it over. Doesn't really say much.
Supreme.
I'll split the bread, hand half of it back to him, and say thank you. And just curiously look at it before just taking a small bite out of it.
Okay. You take a small bite out of it. You get a really buttery texture, almost like a biscuit. Though you do notice that whatever you thought was cheese was not cheese. You're not 100% certain what it is, but it gives it a slightly nutty flavor. So it's almost like in a way, it's almost like an almond pastry that is just very light flavor to it. Otherwise, it just tastes like really good buttery bread.
My eyes will go wide. I'll say, this is really good. Give the crow man a big hug before scurrying back off to my party.
He is going to withdraw from you attempting to hug him, and just gestures imperiously, like, go. Just doesn't say anything to you, just gestures like, just go.
This wave while running back to them. That's it for me.
All right. Zirin, how is Zirin doing as the bird is being pestered for bread, and Sage is currently sandbathing? Braum is shaking his head in surprise at the stupidity some of these party members already seem to be having.
I've been trying to think of asking Braum something, but I couldn't think of how to say it, so I'm just gonna say it stupidly as possible. Is there anywhere for him to go to get any kind of like light work done for some extra change? If it's a no, it's a no, but
I mean, there's always work to be done, but Braum, you know that's a conversation to have after you meet with the apostle. But yes, there are places.
Well, I was gonna ask him, as soon as we're done with the apostle, if I was needed, I'm gonna go get some work done, because money's needed for a guy who does not have muscle anymore if he needs to get shit.
There's
Can't
always
rip a
work to
tree
be
out of
done.
the ground and say I have wood. I can't rip a tree out of the ground and say I've got wood now. So
Brom will nod his head and say, "Yeah, we can go around, find some proper employment for you. If you're looking to settle down, that's definitely an option. There are a number of apartments here, but priority is we need to talk to this apostle guy and make sure that you are actually allowed to stay and live in this town."
Really, may.
I'm staying live here. I'll learn to live, but I'd love to know.
Really, may. And while you guys are waiting for Sage to dry up a little bit, what are you doing in this moment?
Good question.
What? Also, you see that apparently Rococo is going to put incense around Sage and starts giving a eulogy as if he was dead.
Rip.
Alrighty.
Oh god.
She's just gonna quietly watch everyone for a moment and then go enjoy some time in the grass. Since, you know, it's been a solid minute since, like she said, it's been a solid minute since they got to relax at all.
And Rococo, as you're giving your eulogy, you see that there are people definitely giving you guys strange looks. Some of the women carrying these lacy fans that they hold in front of their face as if they're trying to hide that they're talking. Though it's pretty obvious with that they're saying something, but they don't really linger so much as they just kind of titter on about it and walk away. You do notice that nobody seems to be coming and going in individuals. They always singly. They always have pairs or larger groups walking around. It's the only at least specifically for the women. Men do sometimes go about as if they're in a hurry. And you do see that a lot of those men who tend to be individuals carry some sort of cane with them. Very staunch black cane, though the grip does tend to differ depending on who you're looking at.
Or if I can get one of those made with a blade inside of it.
So, Braum, now that Sage is dead, do you have anything to tell us about the culture of this place? I've noticed that there are individuals here who move specifically in couples, and the ones who move alone, are they perhaps essentially the authoritative force here in the city, given that they all seem to share the moniker of a black cane?
Brom will whip his head around at the mention of Sage being dead, and he was gonna be like, "What the?" And he's gonna see the rise and fall of his chest. He's still clearly breathing. He's like, "Oh God damn it!" About the culture, I'm not necessarily the best person to ask. I've been aboard ships most of my time here in the past few years, and before that, was just locked up in an office with paperwork or out in dark alleyways standing over people's shoulders. So, if you're looking for fashion advice, I'm not the one.
No. Okay. All right. So, no family then. Yeah, not to be rude, but you know.
No, not yet at least.
So, a single bachelor out on the town.
Well, I guess you could say that.
Puts hand on your shoulder. Don't worry, we'll get her. Still thinking that, you know, that you knew exactly what he meant, what she meant when he was referring to the captain.
Yeah, sure. Anyways, are we about wrapped up here, or is there anything else we need to attend to before your meeting?
I don't know. Let's find out.
A couple things. One is you notice that Sage is drying pretty quickly, which given the season, so to speak, right now, that does make a lot of sense. The water tend to dry out pretty quickly. But you notice that his skin in places appear to be like there are splotches of paler parts of his flesh that weren't there, at least what you remember seeing before. Just like splotches of this really weird pale, almost like you almost be willing to say almost someone like powdered him, like he applied like a powder like makeup to him, but just on different parts of his body. Now exactly what that means, you don't know, but that definitely doesn't sound like something you would normally see on a person who isn't potentially sick and or dying. So there's that. However, back to Artan and Rilame, it is worth noting that some of the animals you see here are different. To you, you definitely see familiar animals. You do see like birds, squirrels, things like that. Like average park animals. But the thing that you do notice is that all of them seem to have different colors, and in fact, a few of them seem to be made almost entirely of vegetative matter.
Wait, what?
As an example,
in the maw?
what you thought of as a flower actually closed its mouth, and you realized it was a bird. That when its mouth is open, looks like some sort of like five-leaved flower. In fact, it tends to seem to be doing this to lure in insects that it will then eat. You do see a couple. One thing that you do find very odd, especially for Rilame, is that you notice that in random places you see avocados, and you're not entirely sure why, because that's not something you would find anywhere near this kind of biome. But you do see that people, for the most part, seem to be avoiding the avocados.
Swear to God, it's a potato. This is another version of potatoes. I swear.
We're in the maw, apparently.
Can I roll a perception, or will it only be Rilame for that one, or can I roll a perception just to see if anybody's going near there?
I mean, you guys could see the reason why I was saying specifically, like, you would see these things, but Rilame is more likely to know the fact that you don't see avocados here. Like, you know what they are, like you've seen them in your town, but given that Rillame's history is that of a merchant, especially from her family, this gives her some insight that this is not something you would normally see grown anywhere in this kind of biome.
Okay.
So you just know that you're like, hey, avocados, why is nobody eating them? Like, they're good, or however you feel about avocados. They're just around.
Why did you say this?
I'm just letting you know. Like, that's, like, to you, they're just avocados.
They're different.
Okay. Rolled successfully. Okay. I'll sit next to Rilame real quick and say, here, hold out your hand for me, please.
She does
before dropping a good size, whatever was left, half of the bread I crumbled up and everything. These don't look like the animals back home.
No, they don't. They're definitely different. But I mean, I guess if we're in a different plane, world, whatever you want to call it, it's possible.
Do I see any animals near, like within 20, 30 feet of us?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely see some birds that are about. They look like what you would imagine. You know that they physically look like pigeons or doves, but they are different. But they are like very vibrantly colored. In fact, like so, the red is almost startlingly red on them, which you're like, that's not usually a color that you find on a pigeon. But all right. So that is something that does stand out to you, is the color difference. But otherwise, they look structurally like a pigeon or a dove.
Looking at them, he tosses some. He gets up, walks a couple of feet, and tosses some breadcrumbs out on the ground before going back to Rilame and sitting down and just watching them. As he just starts looking at the colors and just say, "They remind me of my butterflies."
Yeah, I guess I could see that.
And just a sigh, he just lets out a long sigh and says, "We've been through a lot. I'm tired."
I know, I am too.
And
I wish we could just go back and forget all this happened.
he gives a nice little grin on his face and say, "That would be nice." Before tossing just like a pinch of more crumbs out and just waiting.
Starts poking Sage with the staff. All right, is the wet Sage officially dead? Have we been reborn as the dry Sage?
Stay down there any longer, you're gonna soak up enough sun to probably get a little tan.
Now, Sage, as he does that, you happen to look down and you notice the same splotchy white color to your flesh. Now, you do what you want with that knowledge, but well, you might have an idea as to what could be causing it. It's definitely unusual.
Is this like I noticed this before anybody else does?
You happen to notice it, like, because you were like relaxing, but then as you like kind of like look up a little bit, like you notice something. You see like from the corner of your eye, you can see the splotchiness on your arms.
Okay. I will not reference it at all. I will raise my arms, and Sage will look at Rococo, and he will say, "We have entered a new era of the driest sage you know." And he will stand up, and he will begin to just walk away.
Covered in sand.
Covered in sand, whole back, just sand.
You're gonna hear Zirin of the big just go, "All right, I'm gonna start calling you a seasoning from now on."
Nice.
Dry stage, you know.
Rococo picks up his shoes that he very clearly left behind and just rolls her eyes.
All right. Well, as you're walking, you guys, you do see that the sand is already starting to fall off. Given the dryness of the nature, it is already coming apart from his flesh. Though you do know, from experience, Brahm, he is going to have one hell of a sandy crack later. That sand gets everywhere. And one thing I will say that Sage probably hasn't figured out yet is, and you just know, you don't know the difference. You just know that sand is a little bit gritty. It's really gritty. Like you can almost use it in sometimes to like sharpen a blade, depending on where you get the sand from. It is so for the to help understand that if Sage were to start messing with the sand a bit more, it definitely is a thicker grit than average sand is. Almost, it's got a lot more silica in it. So it may be rubbing multiple parts of your anatomy raw, depending on how long you're sandy.
Okay, well, if
It's too wide.
any discomfort is caused, I guess he would just naturally try to brush it away.
Do the
But
long
if it
step
doesn't
and shake
immediately
loose.
cause him, yeah, I mean, if it doesn't cause any immediate discomfort, probably wouldn't bother with it. Just roll in some grass later to get the sand off, right?
Oh, thank
Sure.
you.
All
Can you
right.
give me a fork, please?
I mean,
Thank
we
you.
could stop at the inn, and if they have amenities there, we could just get you washed off.
But why? I was just in water.
Now there would come a
Fair
voice
point.
from beside you guys near some of the trees, and you hear a light laugh before a voice that's oddly very almost abnormally normal, like average, just masculine voice. Saying, "Well, it
Thank
seems I'm assuming that you are the individuals I have been asked to retrieve." And yes, Brahm, you see the average-looking individual that you know as LB.
Oh, hey there, LB. How's it going?
Just dandy. Now you see this gentleman is dressed in very similar clothing to Brahm, just in colors of like a dark brown or black. You do see also that he does have a tie, a suit, not a bow tie, but an actual like longer tie that he wears very loosely. That's probably the only unusual, out of place piece of clothing that he wears. All things considered, just a very plain looking individual. Again, almost abnormally so. If you could easily see yourself losing this person in a crowd if you weren't paying attention. So, I'm assuming that the sandy one over here is this his culture's particular way of dressing up for a function?
Sage,
Go ahead.
am I close enough? Like they're speaking loud enough that I would hear this?
Oh yeah, he's speaking loud for all of you.
Okay. So the typical court gesture, heel pointed forward, deep bow, right? Low enough bow that you could see the sand all over his back and in his hair. And he'll stand up and enunciate his S's. Sandy Sage, at your service.
How roll?
Oh.
But you know
makes
that,
that sound.
yeah, Brahm, you know that he has no sense of humor. That's
Okay.
that he just hasn't. He is one of the most average individuals in all aspects. He is very easily forgettable, and he does that on purpose. But generally, you've never seen him show emotion before, other than just annoyed.
Rom will pitch in and say, don't worry about it. We'll get him toweled off. It'll be okay.
Well, the apostle waits for no one, so if you are all ready to step before one of these speakers for a primary, as you are, then who am I to judge?
Before we go, have any birds gathered around the crumbs?
Oh yes, the
Or
birds.
anything.
The birds are just pecking at them and eating them, and
Oh.
you see one of the avocados has rolled close, and one of the breadcrumbs is gone.
I swear it was
Artan
just
will
there.
not. Artan will not say anything. He'll just look at it, do a double take, and says like, "Why am I surprised at this point internally?" Before just releasing all the rest of the breadcrumbs on the ground and offering a hand to Romaine to help her get up. Shall we go?
Yeah, I suppose so. And she'll take the offered hand.
I'll look at her breadcrumbs and say like, "Are you going to keep those or?"
Yeah, I suppose I should leave them there, huh?
He'll chuckle.
She'll just kind of she'll scatter him around, and then turn back to him.
He'll have the most goofiest, toothy grin on his face before saying, "Let's go."
Still has a kleptomaniac. She should keep one breadcrumb in her pocket without knowing.
I'm surprised.
Probably has.
Yeah, there's a solid like handful of breadcrumbs in her pocket. Yes.
Those are gonna be fun to find later. All dried out.
Your pocket's all buttery because of it.
I mean, really, May, have you checked your pockets recently? I know you have a habit of having various knickknacks and things that you don't remember having in them.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So. What the hell?
I have no
Straight face. I don't know what you're talking about.
That sounds like someone who knows what they're talking about.
As she's putting a shiny rock in her pocket, she's saying that.
What?
Probably.
If we find one of those avocados in her pocket, I will just crack up laughing.
Hey Matt, can I find one in my pocket
Alright.
later?
We'll see. But
And can I keep it as a pet?
pet avocado, maybe. But as you, with that, he is, as long as nobody is against it, LB is going to lead you guys towards the cathedral. Now, the cathedral is going to come all the way over to here.
Excuse me, sorry.
Now, to help with this, with navigation, I do have a token that is to represent the party itself. Unfortunately, it is ginormous because, of course, it is. Give me just a moment to reduce its size.
Makes sense.
We are Legion. That is us.
And this is going to be a representative of where you guys are on the map. Now, as you make your way through the different parts of the city, LB does kind of explain, and I'm sure Brahm interjecting a little bit here and there, that you guys are making your way through different parts of the Forlorn District. He's going to explain, as you guys are moving about, that as you guys also see unusual creatures in the park itself. You see what look like tiny humans with wings flittering about with lights that glow around them. You see about yay tall. You do see a lot of unusual types of figures looking out from the trees at you. You see you see actually some beings that look like men with heads that of almost like a skull, like that of a steer. They are just watching you from the shadows, and they don't seem to do anything other than just they seem to notice your passing. And as you progress, he explains that these are Fae. That given the proximity to the Feywild here, this is a lot of them tend to congregate in this part of the town. And as he moves through, he explains he gestures at the statues, and you seem to have picked up that you guys haven't been here before. And he says these are different figures of in histories, different important figures that have made changes upon the realms. We even have a few Baslith who have shown their faces here. And he actually gestures at one that you actually recognize as Alurin of the Starless Knights.
Oh boy.
Which is actually the one that's right here on the right. On the last statue before you guys exit onto the bridge. And he says, yes,
menacing.
you guys, he looks exactly the way you remember him. Same statue and all. Same featureless mask that he always wears. As you guys move past, he explains that here, he would recommend ignoring any of the local crystals. Don't try to collect them, given that they are pretty sharp. They can very easily cut into the flesh of those who are not used to dealing with them. He does explain, though, that the Forlorn District is divided into several different categories, 3 specifically, of locations that are built on color. The red buildings are more the common folk, the workers, the common individuals. Yellow is known as more of like the guildsmen or the craftsmen, merchants, those who are above who are a little more affluent than the average individual. And then off far to east, across from the lake, there are blue buildings, a representative of nobility and aristocratic buildings. Example, he mentions that that is where you would find the Court of Squalls, as well as Mjolnir's Academy of Excellence. There is also, if you're interested in some of the more interesting fineries, you can go to Tutalon's Sundries. Though last he checked, they did just finish some renovations, so there might still be some dust about. There are, of course, the Naturalist Guilds and Bastion's Avery on the south side. And he points off towards a enormous, like, oak is this enormous tree in size that very easily, as you guys are going across, you can see from here it is one of the largest trees in the area by far. This is the build then, but he says over there you'll find some of the more the sights of nature. Though again, if you're looking for more business, I would stick to the Yellow District. There you will also find the other guilds, such as the Mages Guild, the Warriors Guild, the Creationist Guild, the Primalist Guild, the Shadowcast Guild, and the Priest Guild, which you guys recognize as the name of the different pillars from Primoria. As you guys travel,
we never actually ended up doing our test, right?
You just did you passed the pillar of the bronze pillar, the first test.
Okay.
Yeah, but we
remember.
we almost got to the level for the last one, but never did it, right?
Correct. You did not do this. Yeah, so it's normally at level 5.
I'm just trying to remember
10,
which one I did.
You did the bronze one.
Right.
That's the first test.
No, I mean which guild.
Oh,
or which pillar? I mean.
I had to double check on that one. You guys would have eventually gotten to the second test. You would have completed it. That was required, but you never got to the third. You never got to the gold pillar. The platinum pillar.
Okay.
You guys went from copper, bronze to gold, and then you never made it to platinum.
Okay.
So, and the other names for it would be the first dawning and second dawning, which are the original names, which is more, which he does represent here. He does mention that he actually calls them by the first, for your tests of dawning. He would not refer to them as the bronze, gold, or platinum pillars.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. What was his name again?
LB.
LB. LB, I have a question. Before his gaze turns back towards him, I noticed that the pillar, there's a lot of similarities to where we came from. If we somehow lost our powers, would our position in our pillars be still hold?
I think the powers are unrelated. Oh, unless you mean the class.
Class, yeah.
He shrugged. I have no freaking clue. No one's that. You don't. Last I checked, you don't lose your experience. That sounds like it's something that you'd want to either ask the court about, or ask the guilds themselves. It's not my job.
Another sigh comes out of his mouth, and he'll just go back to looking at the tree.
We should visit there later.
A little smile goes on his face. I'll like that.
All right.
So, LB, do you live alone?
He doesn't respond.
Of course, this is where we're going.
I would assume the answer is yes.
This is why he's so quiet, you see, Sage? A lot of lonely people here in this city.
Make it closer.
I wonder where they come from. All the lonely people, that is.
All right. So, you guys are kind of led through, and past a couple places. You are brought past the Forlorn Market, which you do see as a kind of bazaar of different, a bunch of different types of shops that are just lined up, which looks very familiar. I mean, you guys have seen quite a few bazaars in your time traveling. This one definitely takes the cake in as far as unusual design. You see just a bunch of different types of people, these different type of animal people, these people with animal features. You see people that seem to have elemental features to them. such as hair that looks like it's made of fire, or someone that looks like they're part fish, with like a water, like almost constantly dripping water from their flesh. Definitely a lot of unusual properties. Very few are just simply human, the way you guys understand them to be. Now,
I actually kind of feel like I fit in for once.
you do
Is
not
it
see any
Genasi?
Harangon. That's the other thing. You do not see
I
a
know
lot of
that was mentioned,
Yeah.
but still, there's half animal people.
Oh yeah. You are pointed out from LB to that there's a place called Jensen's Jewels nearby, which has some of the best jewelry in the district, if not the best. They also tend to work alongside with magical jewelry as well, if that is something you are interested in. Though given his prices, they might be a little outside your price range. He also points out Benedict's Benediction, which is the more affluent tavern/inn in this location, in this city, at least in this district specifically. There are only 2 locations that offer like drinks or places to stay, and that would be the Twisted Sister over in the Red District, and then Benedict's Benediction over here. If you're looking for more of a formal or laid back area, you definitely would want to go to the Benediction. Whereas if you were looking for more fun, exuberance, little wild music, you're going to want to go to the Twisted Sister. Now, you guys do start noticing as you come around here to the south, you notice that a lot of the buildings start to sprout these crystalline structures all over the place. And you notice that one of the large pillars I mentioned that reach towards the center of the sphere of Oranos finds its base just ahead of you, where you see an enormous building. It can only really be described as a citadel or cathedral. It is absolutely enormous. You find... let me actually pull that up a little bit. Let me just double check what I wrote here on this one. You see that there are quite a number of plants that festoon from everywhere. They're hanging from pots that are attached to the walls. You see that the crystals are overladen with different types of growth, as well, and flowers, as well as a lot of different types of animals. Very much similar to what you saw before. You do see a lot of them are made up of these vegetative material, though you do see some more common types of animals as well. You actually see what almost looks like a deer from your home world, just relaxing with its family as you guys are approaching, completely unbothered by some of the clergy that are moving around the place, watering plants or scattering food for them to feast on. In fact, everything seems to be a very peaceful place here. And there does definitely there's an impression, an aura of tranquility that radiates from the cathedral walls. As you approach, LB stops pretty much at the base of the steps. He seems almost snapped to attention with the front of his boots against the stone, and he says, "That is where I leave you, per the agreement and per my payment. This is where I leave you. Inside you will find the Apostle of the Watcher, and I would highly recommend that you show the utmost respect. If what has been said to us before, said to me, is any kind of accurate, then it is worth mentioning if you haven't already. The apostles are the speakers, the voices of the primaries on this in Ornos and in the plains itself. So when you speak to the apostle, you are speaking to the god that the primary that they represent. The Apostle of the Watcher represents Myrias, the mother of magic, and the mother of autumn. I'm sorry, I forget the name of it. Of the mother of the waning life. If you are to enter here, respect everything. Touch nothing that is not offered to you, and respect the animal life. If you harass them, you will find yourself ejected before you even so much as grace the presence of the apostle. Do we understand each other?"
Of course.
Yes.
Artan will nod.
Now, it's worth mentioning to Brahm, you've never been to any of the cathedrals before. There's times where you've gone close. Most festivities are actually on the steps of a lot of these cathedrals. There are temples that belong to different primals. There are also temples to the... grab their name real quick. Gotta find which page it's on. To the Kurgan, which are the quote unquote the 9 that represent and run the city outside of the Court of Squalls. Which is why there is frequent that you guys would actually mention, instead of saying like oh my god or something like that, you would say by the 9, because the 9 are the representative of those people. Now it's up to you if Brahm would have explained this to the party, but I'll explain it a little bit now here. You guys will likely find this out as time progresses. So Oranos is overseen by the 9 Kurgan, shortened to the 9. These are all primals, the few remaining, with 3 representing order, chaos, and balance. The individual primals change from time to time, and so they all wear masks and robes that hide who they are while representing their aspects. They are referred to as the dawn, noon, and dusk of their aspect, such as the dawn of law or the balance is noon. Together they oversee the wilds and the axis, maintaining Oranos through governance by divine decree. While they are the overarching government, it is the Court of Squalls that sees to the day-to-day affairs. They're in a way, it would not be wrong to say that the two are constantly vying for power and authority. Whereas you would think that that primals, being deities, would have more sway. That is not the case. The primaries do not know the laws and the rules of the Squalls, where the court does, and that is where they hold sway. The Court of Squalls guard all interdimensional travel almost violently, in ways that even the deities have not, and the Kurgan have been able to find. So, in this particular case, when you hear someone say by the 9, that is what they are representing, because they are, in a way, the gods here. Now, you have been to those. There have been definitely temples to the Kurgan. They are, again, all represented by similar leaning gods themselves. As such, primal worship is definitely alive and well. But again, in this case, especially in Oranos, the primaries, given that they tend to house one of the 7 cathedrals that are in this place, definitely hold the highest regard. They oversee everything. They just very rarely speak out, and they are very rarely interacting with anybody. They are mostly silent. In fact, over the last 100 to 150 years, they've been very quiet since the cessation took place. But despite that, the few times that they do speak, they are listened to with absolute authority. Even the Kurgan do not question them. That being said, again, you have been here, just never in it. That's the important part. That make sense?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that is entirely up to you, Oro, if Brahm would have explained that to them. What the court is and what the Kurgan are.
Probably not, since there wouldn't be enough time for that to come up in a regular conversation.
Well, it could have, given the fact that they were asking before about the court. Because you remember, the captain did say
that is true, yeah.
So it's, again, I'm not speaking for you. It is entirely your discretion. I just wanted to say that there was downtime while you guys were walking where the Welby wasn't speaking. That could have come up, but it's your decision if that is something Brahm would have offered on that situation.
Sure. Yeah. Let's say that he did explain it to them.
Okay. So you guys would have that knowledge once you have reached the cathedral.
Okay.
Perfect.
Now, that said, as soon as he seems to have gotten through to you guys the importance of showing this respect, LB at that point will nod to Brahm and say, I don't need to tell you, but I already am well aware that my pay, you should know that my pay better be there when I get home, and if not, I'll deal with your captain.
Of course.
And
I think you have a romantic rival, Brom.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case.
Well, he said deal with his captain.
Wish
Brom is just
Gentar was here.
confused.
I wish Gentar was here so I can have a potato to throw at you. Get it.
All
If
right.
only we hadn't lost everything, and then you would still have a potato.
This is fair.
I'll look over to Brom. By chance, do you know where we can procure potatoes?
No, don't tell them.
Well, there are some nearby markets, but
He says
But,
he's
sir-
munching on a potato.
I was
we're
gonna say,
about
are there
to
even
meet.
potatoes here?
We're on an important assignment right now. So, what does this necessarily have to do with a potato?
Don't worry
I
about it.
don't- Okay, sure. Let's just drop this. Let's keep moving.
All right.
Let's talk to this guy so we can get things squared away and on the level.
As Velby leaves, you guys are left before the cathedral. The enormous double doors you see before you. They are not open. However, you do see that there are two guards on either side. A pair of guards on either side. They are dressed in a kind of fine leather armor. In fact, it almost looks like it would have been full plate, except made of this leather or some sort of bark material. You do notice that the helmets do have. That's interesting. The helmets do have antlers into them that are full grown. You're not sure if they actually have horn antlers themselves, or if that's just part of the garb. Each one of them do hold a spear in one hand and a long bow on their back. And they are simply just observing. Though you do notice that these they all look exactly the same. They look like they are elven in design, in features, with sharp, narrow cheekbones and their sharp, the knife-like ears. But you do notice that each of them, their eyes are a very much a gold, like almost amber color, and they are. And but there's no iris, there's no pupil, there's no sclera. It is just solid amber. And but they are watching. They seem to be just staring off. In fact, it'd be very difficult to say where they're looking. They don't seem to be moving.
So, now that you say this too, Zirin would notice this, but instead of like saying anything, he would instead like try his best just to keep looking forward and hope they don't look at him, because I don't know if they ever told. Zirin's like half elf. Like, he doesn't show it because of his ears, but pointed if you see them. He's just straightforward.
Okay.
All right. So who's going to move forward first?
I think given that this is, the Citadel de Myrias, Rococo's been, being a bit of a fool, being a bit of a, silly willy, but now that they're actually here, like, her bemusement switches back to sort of that state of this, we gotta buckle down. There's trepidation, but, deep down, at least in her heart, she knows, like, while the Squallers were sent to save us, it was sort of like a sense of, like, I was brought here because of this. Like, like, I'm the person that should be doing this thing.
Okay.
So, the goofing sort of stops, and she just sort of gets a serious look on her face, and she just goes, well, I guess the tour's over then.
For now, it seems.
She starts walking up to the steps. She takes out, her damage staff, which is, was on her back at the time, and she sort of uses it as a walking stick to sort of step up the staff. or step up the steps with the staff. All the while looking at the staff to seeing if its proximity to this citadel, if in any way is maybe mending it to some degree, or if it's like resonating with this place.
You do notice as you are approaching that the holy symbol glows just just very faintly. And as the closer you get to the top of the stairs, you get to these guards, there is a feeling of welcome that you recognize as the warmth of Myrias, but also slightly different. It's almost like the same way that someone who looks very similar to somebody else. You get the same, so close that it's almost like a twin, but not quite. And as you move closer still, the holy symbol of the staff becomes whole. The staff itself still seems damaged, but the actual symbol itself is whole.
Now it seems we found the right place. I make my way toward the doors. We're still are we level 1 or level 0?
Zero.
Right now?
Still 0.
0. Okay, we're still 0. So I can't use thaumaturgy to open the doors. So then I will just manually,
As you approach, however, as you reach out, all 4 with their spears, they smash the butt of their spear into the ground in unison twice. Just thump, thump. And they don't say anything at first before one of them speaks, but you notice that every time there's a breath, every time there is a pause where a sentence would be ended, one of the others would speak up in the same exact voice, seeming to finish as if they were all an individual speaking and finishing each other's sentences. And he says, "Welcome, followers of Myrias. Welcome those of the lost, those of the worthless. Do you seek entrance to speak with the Apostle of the Watcher?"
I do.
Yes,
I'm not
we
sure.
do.
I mean, Sage would step up behind Rococo. He wouldn't say anything, but
Grabs your hand quietly.
you forgot asterisk.
Yes, asterisk, grabs your hand quietly.
There you go.
Artan, Zirin, anybody else going to do anything? Brom?
Just
Answered.
walk behind and I would cross my arm over my chest and bow, and then say, I seek audience with the Apostle.
Artan would straighten his back, put his arms down to his side, and puff out his chest just a tad bit, like if he was just a little more, what is the word I'm looking for? Courage?
Confident?
Confidence about himself. He says, yes, we do.
And Brom?
Brahm is just gonna not really say anything. Just gonna stand tall.
One of your own lie within. They are treated for wounds.
Oh.
Glances around at the others. Are
I
we
go-
missing someone?
Are we
Gantor?
still feeling how we felt on the boat, where it was like 2 were missing?
Yes. You still feel the 2 that are
Artan would-
missing. Gantar and
So
Sapphirine.
they don't feel any closer.
Correct.
Artan, without a word, just dashes in.
Oh.
I think your path might be blocked, but
Oh, is the door open?
No, it's closed.
Oh.
Smash
Just
the door.
slams into the door.
They tapped twice. And I thought he said the door opened. My
No,
bad.
no.
Runs straight into it. One of the guards is like, no, this is a pull door, buddy. Sorry.
I thought it was automatic. I thought it opened and closed. Like those electric things.
Just straight up Looney Tunes it into the wall.
He breaks every bone in his body.
Fine. Okay, fine. When they say that, I will go up to one of the guards and say, "Who? Where are they?" Just frantic.
That is for the apostle to deliver. We are simply but messengers. Mind your manners before the voice of Myrias. The apostle of the Watcher awaits. And they slam their butts down twice once more, just thump, thump. But there seems to be on the second thump a loud, almost reverberation through the air and through the ground around you. And as they do, the doors part, opening. And we pull up what you guys see. And
Spells biography.
where is it?
I'm almost tempted to ask something to one of the guards, but
Oh boy. Map
I'm
change.
not going. I'm not going to, but
A pretty map.
Thank you.
Does one of the guards tell the truth and one of the guards lies?
Oh, and by the
Forgot
way,
about that.
the map is slightly off on size, but only very, very slightly.
Oh, hold on. I'll be right back.
I left the food on the counter, by the way, in the kitchen.
Okay.
Let me get you guys'.
Make some for me.
Let me bring your guys' tokens in.
Somebody see the KFC deep fry.
Like, you guys not seeing here?
Oh, I can see it.
So make
This
sure the
kind of
lighting.
place makes me think we're gonna have a bad time.
And
I just appreciate the orchestra up front.
Well, yeah, they have to play the music.
Yeah, they have to play Megalovania.
Yeah.
I sent you a message, Matt, by the way.
Right.
Oh, I also like that NPC art. That's cool.
And one last thing I need to bring in. All right. Pull up the journal for it real quick, and where in the heck? What was that? Why is the observer 2? Oh, someone logged in as server 2. Okay, that was probably Dad. Let me grab one last bit of information for you guys. Apologies. Oh, that explains why I'm having issues.
Take your time.
All right. You see a large... The interior is enormous, as you might notice from just the size of what you see before you. You see before you, the entire building seems to be overgrown with plants. You see that lights that burn from front and back of the room, with one on the far end representing the color red, the closest two representing blue, and one in the center being green, the colors of the moons. Now, you see that the room is very dark, almost like the twilight that you're used to seeing from the Twilight Evenhold. And you hear the chirpings of birds, the rustling of grass, and the room is a perfect balance between warm and cool. And you do see that their pews, the pews look to be made of grown roots that have formed almost naturally into the shape that they are. You see that there are the burning red leaves of autumn that have that are sprouting from multiple locations, the color that you remember from your time in Theaster. You do see that in different places crops are growing, like common staples like wheat and corn, though there are quite a bit others that you recognize from your homes. In effect, it seems to be a temple to a goddess of fertility, or goddess of the lands itself, which in many ways Myrias represents. Now, off in the distance, I'm going to pull up her image for you. You see a woman off in the distance. She looks somewhere between a human and a plant, with her hair made of yellowed and browned leaves, with a dress made of woven wheat stalks. Tall in stature, narrow in frame, the apostle bears a matronly face that speaks of age-old wisdom and newfound life in equal measure. Berries hang from her flesh where vines and branches have pierced her skin, growing somehow naturally into place to support her much in the way muscles support one's skeleton. Eyes the golden purple of a twilight evening, and with a voice that whispers with a warm embrace. The apostle of the Watcher is the very definition of aged beauty. Now, one thing that would stand out is off in the distance, where you would see the statue here is a enormous globe that in which the apostle rests, almost floating in space. And all around her, you see that same golden hue, that light that you know that you've always seen as representing the beauty and luster of Myrias. And I mean, I should also say, I didn't say it, but tall. She is quite large, easily twice the size of Artan. And you see that laying on the ground, atop a small pedestal, you see a figure covered in a cloak, who lays still beneath her. All about you do notice that there are instruments meant for music, for festivals. And you see all around that you are alone. There are no petitioners here. Not today. Music and this feeling, the sensations rush through you. What are your first movements here? And I'll take a moment to go down the list here, give everyone a chance to give you an opportunity to say how you would like to approach. First on my list then is going to be Rococo. Rococo, how would you like? What are your first actions here? Giving yourself like just one initiative, so to speak, of actions.
Well, I think I'd be next to Sage because we were holding hands. So, so I think I would be up here, and unless Sage let go of my hand, we would still be holding hands. And then I think Rococo, Sage would be able to detect the nervousness, sort of in like her, like sweaty palms, a little bit shaky, a little nervous, only solely because like this might be their last chance type of deal, and also like to refine purpose for a person who currently feels like they are purposeless. And if basically like this person rejects her, that essentially it's over. So definitely the feelings of trying to give a good impression, because prior they had believed themselves only to be like one of the very few, and like it's kind of like your substitute teacher and like a teacher with tenure is like you're supposed to replace them, and you're just like, oh, I don't want to screw this up, and so she sort of takes in all of the scenery of like the fall stuff and just goes, well, I guess there's no time like the present, and we should probably see if that person is Gantar, or someone. I don't feel like it is, but one step at a time, I guess.
All right. And then, given that you're right next to it, I'll go ahead and let Sage go next. Sage, how are you responding in this moment?
Mostly just trying to be as supportive as possible. If Rococo says we should move forward, I mean, Sage would immediately, like, take a step, see if that's enough to help Rococo move forward. Nothing really else, just there, if needed.
Okay. Next on the list I have then would be Braum. How is Braum handling this presence? Standing before it amounts
He
to
just
a
gained like 4
profit.
billion something.
What's that?
Well, Braum is definitely a city dweller. He's used to dirty sidewalks and gutters and stuff like that in his travels. So being in here in this pristine temple, this entire cathedral, how massive and clean it is, he's just entirely awestruck. So while he was walking in, he just sort of slows to a stop, and he can't help but just keep looking around at the ornate windows, the chandeliers, just how everything is arranged so neatly.
All right.
All right.
And next on
Sorry,
the list,
puppy made off with napkin.
next is Rilame.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. She has. I guess. I don't know. Outside of saying, I don't really know what to say outside of anything anybody else has said. She's awestruck at what she sees.
Is she like? I mean, you can explore the idea of how does she act in the moment of this presence? Does she smooth her skirts? Does she, try to present herself better? Does she huddle down? And the question is how does she hold herself?
Yeah, I mean, she'd probably straighten herself out and try to make herself look as presentable as possible.
Okay. And finally, Zirin.
You just kneel down onto Wandi, just bow his head. He doesn't really know what else he should really do in the situation other than just pay his respects, so he would just kneel down on one knee and bow his head.
Okay. As you take that moment to let the situation flow over you, a voice, both soft, matronly, but at the same time filled with that authority, a different alien voice speaks up. Welcome.
Okay.
Welcome to my home, to the Cathedral of the Watcher. Please step forward. Your friend awaits.
I'd do it. They'd say I'd step forward.
Yeah.
Artan will quickly walk.
If only it wasn't a 1/4-mile walk to the other end of the cathedral.
Well,
This place is fucking huge.
Yeah, who am I kidding? Artan heard everything. It kind of went out one ear and in one ear and out the other. He runs towards the. I want to say the pedestal. God,
No, that's the right word. It was the
where his
pedestal.
friend? Okay.
I will
with
follow
the
after.
globe on it.
Oh, here you go. Yeah, it was paused. Go ahead and move, guys. So you may move forward. Though there is a presence, the closer you get, there's that same warmth, and it's not the warmth of heat. It's not the warmth of the sun. It is a warmth of family, of friendship, of a familiar and safe presence. As some of you may recognize from even the right phrase, it won't be able to get much further than the stairwell before you have to stop. So just a heads up. but there's an impression of like the warmth of a hearth, like your home. And as you get to the stairwell, that radiance, that feeling becomes almost overwhelming. And you know without speaking that you need to stop. You should not approach any closer. Rococo and Zirin are still at the south end over there. Make sure to move your tokens, guys.
I think Necro stepped away, but he can still hear.
Okay. So,
All right, I'm back.
okay. Yes, make sure to move your guys' tokens. Now, as you guys get closer, you do notice that the size of the body that lay before you is definitely... It's not Gantar. You can tell that much. But it doesn't quite seem as thin as you would expect from Sapphirine either. And as you get close, there's a moment of just a pregnant pause before finally the radiance seems to fade just a little bit.
Your friend awaits your presence. Perhaps if you were to feel your touch, to hear your voice, they will awaken. My clergy have done quite a bit to attempt to restore them to health. I can't guarantee our results, but I can assure you that they are healthy. They are alive.
Now you know you can
Sage.
approach.
If Sage recognizes,
And runs.
I'm assuming, Sage would probably somewhat yell. the
Well,
name.
you don't see the person. He's underneath the cloak.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You're good.
Artan, without a moment's hesitation, would, as soon as she gets the permission, he jumps a couple stairs and sits or drops next to the person and
Aye.
Here.
You drop
takes it off.
You drop
there-
the cloak.
Sorry,
Go
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was actually just saying sorry. Go ahead. That second time.
Well, as the cloak comes off and falls to the ground, you are met with a connection. A connection that wasn't there until the cloak was pulled. As that feeling, that attachment of all of you guys together grows in number. And you see before you somebody you didn't expect. Perhaps you should have. As you see before you the face of Felandrian, the Prince of Amratlas. Or, in other words, the next king of Amratlas. And there, guys, we are going to take a break. Take a 15-minute break, give us a chance to do what we need to. We'll come back in 15 minutes.
All right.
All right. So you see before you Felandrian, which, do me a favor, Nick, and explain to the others what Felandrian looks like. And I will pull up his picture as well. Feel free to explain what he looks like right now.
So, first question, this is going to be pretty important. How long would it have been since his last battle?
You have been asleep. You've actually been knocked out until now. So as far as you
aware.
literally just, like, last you remember was being cast out from an explosion, and that's it. You remember nothing until waking now to see your friends.
Well, yeah. The reason I was saying that is because he would definitely appear exceptionally pale and gaunt if he went through, like, the procedures and everything that happened very recently since then.
It's been 3 days.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's been 3 days, but he has been, despite the 3 days, you've been, like, the procedure just happened likely about the day before.
Okay.
Procedure. Oh boy. Look at that leg.
Then, yeah. Felandrian, he... the familiar prince is a bit more pale-skinned than from the last time he may have been remembered, with dark, wavy hair and somewhat sharp features. He has red eyes, which are currently closed, I believe, unless he's waking up.
Not yet.
And most notably, while he was normally seen in princely raiment or in armor befitting his previous class, he is now dressed a bit more simply, though it doesn't quite compare to the it doesn't quite compare to the new arm and leg that he's been situated with. He's been fitted with obvious prosthetics, which aren't quite Magitech, but seem a bit more appropriate with the region that you all have arrived in.
More clockwork, in effect.
Mhm.
Artwork wise, this character, the prosthetics especially, absolutely phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I love it.
The like built-in Shogun pauldron and the like stars on the leg, all fucking amazing.
What was that game called? You played as or Pinocchio?
Oh, Liza P.
Yeah.
hmm
Okay.
Well, everybody, we can stop picking on Braum. He's not the new guy anymore.
Hello.
Question on this one. At first glance, do we know who he is?
Yes, absolutely. You know exactly who he is. So Felandrian was someone, as I mentioned earlier, who was the second born prince. He was the one who helped defend you guys in some cases, but from behind the scenes. Back when you guys were still just starting out as kids, he was a part of your friend group. But once you became the quote unquote worthless, he did sometimes show up, party with you guys, but never for long. He always had something to do because he was not branded as worthless. He was actually somebody who tended to work alongside the guards and soldiery, and just the police in general, to basically try and build a relationship of positivity between authority figures and the common folk. He was actually relatively well liked by the common folk, in fact, more so than even his brother, who was, as you guys understood, was somebody who actually helped pass the law that saved your lives. It was his backing that made it possible for you guys to be given that 5-year grace period that you had been given, was because of his backing. There was, as Rilame had discovered, it was that Rilame's sister was actually in a relationship with Felandrian's brother. A little behind the scenes, unfortunately, as that was kind of frowned upon, to have the great houses work together like that. So the last time you saw him is when he went to go kill his father, while him and the Prince of the Remnants had gone out to deal with the father, the king. You guys ended up going and dealing with your own siblings and trying to deal with your family to try and take care of the Pact Stone. So you guys have no idea that if obviously the king died, otherwise this wouldn't have happened, but you have no idea about his whereabouts or what happened in that fight.
Okay.
Okay.
Since he was not branded worthless, does he not have the curse that we do?
Hard to say. I mean, you guys knew that he didn't have powers like you did. That was definitely something unique to you guys. But as far as you know, he was not a part of the quote unquote connection for the pact that your guys' families were.
Mm-hmm. Would he know that we all have the curse too?
He knew that, as far as the Korgan, yes, he would know of the Korgan, but as far as you know, he is not someone who has it, at least as far as you know. Because given the situation, it would make sense that he wasn't.
What I'm more trying to discern is, like, like, do we have to hide the fact that we have the curse from him, even though he's our friend, or does he already know that we have
No,
that?
he would have known, because that's something that would have been revealed to him by his brother.
All right.
So would you say he's starting to wake up at this moment, or is he still just laying there?
He's asleep right at this moment because you guys haven't done anything other than just remove his cloak.
I did, but I typed it, so.
Yeah, check.
Let me pull it
Chat.
over. It says, Real Maid drops to her knees beside him and seeing who was under the cloak, looking at the prosthetic arm. Then before turning gaze to his face, usually wipes the hair from his face, and if that doesn't wake him, just as softly shakes his shoulder. I will have Nick, I'm going to have Felandrian roll a wisdom check with advantage.
Gotcha. Am I on edit? I'm not on edit. Wisdom. What advantage? Wait, that's a saving throw. My bad. Hold on. So that should just be -2, whatever I got. 17.
Okay. Yeah, so as you feel the touch of something warm against your face, you begin to wake. You have definitely a feeling of pain, of a headache, that definitely seems to, I guess, call back to the last moments of the eruption. You feel numb on various parts of your anatomy, which your part of your mind automatically recognizes as just overextension. You've worked yourself to the bone when you definitely shouldn't have. But one thing that definitely stands out to you is that even as you start to wake, you feel a weight on your right arm, around your right arm and right side of your body. There's definitely a heavy weight, as if something is laying upon you.
All right, and have my eyes opened?
Yes, your eyes can begin to open here, and it is up to you how you would like to react. If you like to wake explosively, if you like to wake slowly, it is your call. How exactly this happened. Again, the last thing you remember is the explosion of light.
He wakes slowly and starts to sit up on the pedestal, although the feeling is awkward and foreign to him. He's attributing it to being numb, as if he had slept too long. And when he opens his eyes, looks around, sees the others, this familiar place and this strange glow, his first question is just, where am I?
Who would like to speak first?
Am I?
So, given the nature of our friendship, Matt, Felandrian, and Sage, would you say a hug would have been too close for them or not?
I had to leave this decision to Nick here, because Sage very much was like the butler.
I'll hug.
Yeah, Sage was like a butler at times. In the few times that you did interact with him, retainer, yeah. Whereas your sibling primarily was the one who dealt with them. So you had met with, again, you'd worked with him at times. And I said that's really between you guys. If you think that he was someone who did hang out with you, and you were well aware that there were times where he definitely stuck his neck out to try and protect you guys. Usually in the situation where you guys got way too high and or drunk and destroyed things you shouldn't have.
Yeah,
no.
Faylon, he's never been in a position where his nobility led him to distance himself away from anybody. And if anything, the people who were branded as worthless are ones who he felt a degree of sympathy for and wanted to help out. He felt bad that his position went unaltered while theirs started to crumble to dust despite them being at similar stations before.
Right. Okay. I think I would leave the talking to Rilame. She's more gentle, but Sage would absolutely step forward and kneel down as
Felandrian kind of sits up, whatever he chooses to do, and like a hug. But then when he pulls away, he would try to smile as much as he can, like that reassuring, happy, like, here's a good vibe, we're all happy here. But
Oh, if Sage hugs him, then Milmay's joining in. So.
oh man, we're starting a group hug over here.
How about the others? What is Zirin?
Oh, he's gonna be brooding over next to Braum because he doesn't think he's gonna recognize him unless he remembers him before having the Zenner. He's gonna look completely different.
He's yeah.
He thinks that he's not gonna notice.
He would be. That's a given what we talked about, Nick. If your memories are a little fuzzy, you might recognize him, but it'd be more like one of those like that can't be you. Like.
Yeah, so that's why I'm sitting over there more of just like brooding almost because I'm 50-50 on if he's even gonna remember who I am. So Zirin's just kind of sit over there, just arms partially crossed like across his stomach, just sitting.
And Rococo?
We, in the final battles, did we meet Felandrian or no?
Yes, you guys. Okay, he met up on the ship with you guys when you were heading east. He's actually the one who kind of filled in some details that you were missing, and who you guys were going to go see because he specifically did know who you were meant to go talk to. The one thing, and this is up to you two, and it's something that I would recommend talking about outside the game when you have time, because one thing that Nick I've talked about is, as I was aware of, he knew where Rococo was the entire time, but couldn't do anything about it. The only thing he could do is keep the worst of life from affecting Rococo. So, like, yes, you had a bad life, but it could have been infinitely worse if he hadn't been intervening. But whether or not, but I would say that Rococo wouldn't have known back when that was going on.
This is how the guards found me.
Yeah, and that's kind of where. Yeah, so whether or not you two had communicated that at some point that during the end of the Worthless, that is your guys' call, but I would recommend having that conversation outside of the game to talk about it.
Okay. So because we met in the final battle, that would mean Felandrian would know that Rococo's gender is basically fluid.
Correct.
So with that in mind, Rococo will go up to Felandrian and just goes, "Morning, sleepyhead. Remember me? Been a while. Good to see you're still alive. You remember that time, long time ago, when I was at the stables and I let your horse out? And we found it later?
I'm glad you're safe. Glad you're all safe. Is Kibiar not here?
Who? The Prince of the Remnants.
No.
It's just us. We're not entirely sure what we're doing here either.
Kebjarn Bolgyard is the name of the Prince of the Remnants.
We're on Oranos. Seeing your state, I don't know if you were picked up by squalors as well, but that's how we got here.
Long story short, we broke the seal that prevented anybody from leaving Primoria and ended up here.
I see.
Looks at the apostle, the Watcher, just like, we're supposed to keep that on the DL. But she probably already knows, right?
She simply nods
sense.
with a small smile.
I take a breathe, sigh of relief.
Well, it seems our reunion was preordained even on the farthest shores. So, let me just check something. And he's going to kind of pull a bit away from the embraces that are had on him to examine his arm. It's an expression of disbelief at first, and he takes his other hand and grasps the metallic wrist.
Uh-oh.
For a good moment, he's wordless. I suppose it's preferable to death.
Yeah, I guess things didn't go so well for you, it seems. But at least you're alive.
Yeah. My blade met its target, and my opponent took his chunk of flesh in turn, it seems.
Artan, I haven't given you a chance to say what you're doing here.
I'm pondering on that one. When the sheets came off, Artan was a bit dazed, confused, and a bit of sorrow, not expecting who, or expecting somebody else. But seeing the prince, it just, he set his emotions aside and just gave a sigh of relief and just says, it looks at him and says, I'm happy you're with us. I'm happy you're alive.
Rilame, as Artan is saying that, Rilame kind of grabs onto to Felandrian a little bit more, kind of pulling him closer. A little sense of home and what has otherwise been a world of change.
Alive is nice. I can't say I fully expected walking out of that one.
I wouldn't say you walked out per se.
Whoa.
Sorry, I can't keep that one in. I can't keep that one in.
I'll give you a Benny for that one. That was just savage.
Damn.
Not to kick you while you're down, but you were already down without a leg, so.
he would have lightly bopped the top of her head with his other hand if, he wasn't aware of what it was capable of just yet.
Yeah, you do hear a clicking and a whirring from inside of it. Very quiet, but definitely there. And it's not a technology you recognize. As you said, you've seen prosthetics. You guys, they were used in Amratlas, but they were far more advanced than this. In fact, you know that they were able to actually feel through the limb as if it was just another limb. But in this, you feel nothing. Just a vague itching from that as you move, you try to move what should be natural, but needs a little bit more of a thought process behind it.
Bro, if he can't feel it, that's the fucking blocking arm. God damn.
Oh,
Still
sorry, it was your
not.
left arm, wasn't it? Yeah, it was your left arm, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's his left arm.
That's right. I forgot it was counter to
still
the
not.
image. That's good.
Mm-hmm. No. You are correct. It is in line with the limb image. He was just left-handed as his dominant hand. That was
Oh. Okay. That's good.
Let's see. I'm not really content with leaving the Prince of Remnants unattended to. He helped me a lot, and I'm pretty sure he was alive when my blade met its mark.
As of right now, we don't know how to get back. Unfortunately. Trust me when I say why I want to get back too.
In that,
No.
there is hope.
Once more, the voice of the Watcher speaks above you, and with every word that she speaks, it elicits memories of warm embraces and the pride of a good day's work, echoes of what she represents. Now, it's for Felandrian, it's obviously a shock considering you hadn't looked quite up yet. But again,
Yeah.
you see this figure, and you know almost implicitly that there is a divine presence here. It's a familiar presence, but also at the same time alien. And she bows her head slightly to you, in greeting.
I am glad that my clergy were able to keep you alive. I wasn't so sure that they would have been able to.
I'm glad as well. You've quite the radiant aura to you. Are you who I have to thank for me being here today?
In a matter of speaking, yes. You see, I am the apostle of Myrias, her voice in the realms. And it was by her grace that I knew a bit of what was transpiring. And I knew that you would need assistance. Unfortunately, I was not aware of quite the damage that you had taken, but I did know that you would survive. Unfortunately, you were far enough apart that it required you being picked by a different group, and you were not able to travel together with your friends before now. For that, I am sorry.
It's not for you to apologize for. Thank you for all that you and your clergy have done.
Of course. It is the least I could do for you.
She finally looks to more round to everybody else, and you can tell that she's. There's definitely a warmth, yes, but there does seem to be some concern, a seriousness that belies her otherwise calm demeanor.
May I ask your name, miss? I'm Felandrian Zethris, the prince, or rather rightful king
of Amratlas, to help you out. Amratlas.
yeah, I was gonna say of Amratlas.
Yeah.
I had the information between Amratlas and Breastfieldia. Breastfieldia mixed up on my sheet. I was trying to find it.
Apostles such as us do not have names. I suppose you could just call me the Watcher. But calling me the Apostle, or just the Watcher, should suffice for now. More title that befits my stature.
She looks at all of you again and says,
I wish I could have spoken sooner. Especially you, Rococo. My mistress wished to express her apologies for being unable to come to you sooner. The situation made it difficult, unfortunately.
No, I understand that. If anyone needs to apologize, it should be me. There was indeed a moment of where I believed I had been abandoned, but I know now that she is still with me. That being said, I once held the title of Herald, though now I don't know truly what title, if any, I have anymore. If Myrias would still have me, or if I do still serve a purpose, or if there is still some hope for Amratlas, or for Zitagal, I don't know which is which anymore. I would at least like to make that right.
you feel a
She
hand.
prostrates herself a bit.
You feel a hand rest on your shoulder. It's while there's no hand there. The way that the apostle is moving, you know that's her hand. At least the presence of it. touching you.
You need not prostrate yourself, Rococo. There is quite a bit that we must discuss, and it is that reason that I call you here. There is hope, and there is a possibility to fix this. And that is why I have called you all here. To give you information, to give you a path forward. But it is essential that you understand, just as Brahm here has the opportunity, and will have the opportunity, to choose to walk away, you will as well.
And so with this, she gestures, and more gestures for you guys to sit. Now, there doesn't really be any chairs. It's more just on the ground here.
Please, take your rest. We have much to talk about, and I would not want you to be uncomfortable.
I think I'm already on the ground too.
As she says that, I'm gonna walk over and just sit against. I can't move my character. Hold on. Sit against pretty much the railing.
Yeah, someone paused it. I don't know. Probably.
Yeah, just sitting against like the railing of this thing.
As long as I'm on the carpet and not stone, I'm fine to sit wherever.
Mhm.
So
Generally speaking, the stone, as much as it has stone here, it's mostly like a very soft loam, almost moss in places. It's very soft, comfortable. You do know that it is the type of moss that grows year round. It's an evergreen.
I just rearrange my legs and get into a more comfortable position.
I don't think I ever stopped clinging, so.
Can I still hang out at my pedestal spot, or have I been kicked off?
No, you're welcome to stay there.
All right,
And it means that also that Rilame is just clinging to your leg.
I'll lean over to Relame. I'm saying, like, I think he might need to breathe.
Through his leg?
Oh, yes. I'll still think what I just said. Yes.
Sticking to my guns. Yes.
You should listen to her, Relame.
Her?
Her.
He's talking about the one who told us to say it.
I mean, you're welcome
She's
to listen.
Oh, okay.
Balance and let's go.
I imagine both of you look up and like
Just
her.
commanding Rilame to sit.
Oh, like, when did I become a her?
Yeah, he wasn't talking about you.
All right.
Large male power bottom to
Hey, neither of you, nobody knows who's the lead in Rilame and Boonier's relationship. So Boonier wasn't
feel
gonna
like
say.
I feel like that would have been one of those trap questions. It's like, I'm not going to say that. Even I know better.
I need to step away one more quick time to get my chicken out and actually be back. So
All right.
Chicken didn't.
I will pause real quick. Okay. So as you guys are getting together, you're sitting down, getting some level of relaxation. The Rilame is pining after someone's leg. For the comfort of home. There is a calm. That calmness that still continues to spread over you, but there's definitely an urgency. Now, when the apostle speaks, you notice that that above you, as I mentioned before, that the three moons that are found, not here, but found in Primoria, you guys do see that the colors are slowly undulating back and forth. It is still twilight, but it's like the morning twilight and then the evening twilight. It is just slowly fading back and forth.
At first, I will explain one thing. To assuage your concern, Rococo, you are still the Herald of Myrias. That title has not been stripped of you. In fact, it is perhaps worth mentioning that you are the last herald, not just on your homeworld, but in all the realms. And that is part of the problem. What happened, what was set forth, is unable to be taken back. Your actions were necessary, but I hasten to include that it was not meant to go this way. Perhaps at best that I start from the beginning. Most of you know at this time the story about how your families, who betrayed their people of Citadel in order to gain power and wealth, locked away every living being, every soul, every essence across the realms in Citadel, and consigned them to an eternity in the fugue plane of the Twilight Evenhold. This was not done out of a desire for good. It was designed, perhaps from the family members thought it the better option, but the overwhelming majority saw it as a means to take control. But otherwise, Citadel would be their doom. In the course of doing so, they made a pact with a very ancient, very mysterious being known as Siratoth. This you know. And it was with this event, this oath, that the cessation began.
Now, it's worth a side note here. Is that I had to explain this to Brom, because Brom knows what the cessation is. So let me pull up the exact notes, because I want to read it word for word, because I know I would likely say something I'm not supposed to. So yeah, I'm just gonna say John knows. As a DM, if you're not careful, sometimes you let things slip.
I mean, Rococo's happy that she said majority were bad. Didn't say all of them, which means Grandma might still be a good person.
Hey, you know what? You take the positive where you can get it, right?
Yeah.
So, let me just a second. Oh, wait, I think I sent this to you. Didn't I, Oro? I think I sent this to you.
Yeah, it's in my DMs.
Yeah, I'm trying to scroll back up to that. We had a lot of DMs. Hold on. That's one of the first ones, wasn't it? I want to say, yeah, it was probably one of the first ones. Yeah, it was. Yep, yeah. I found it. So, just a reminder, and I'm saying this also for your guys' information. Again, you're going to learn some of the stuff in some of the interim. So while I am saying this out of character, and right now, obviously, you would know, it is not wrong to assume that if there's like a time skip, like a day's time skip, you would likely be asking these questions and getting these answers, okay? So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
So, growing up, and speaking from this is what I said to Brom. Growing up, you were told of Primoria, the original homeworld of many humans that today call Oranos and other planes their homes. About 150 years ago, as Primoria counts it, all portals to and from the Primoria ceased to function, and the primals, who are the gods that live along the outer axis, suddenly couldn't hear the worshippers anymore. This became an enormous issue, and multiple gods, in some cases even pantheons, ceased to exist entirely. To this day, the anchors of the axis, where such primals lived, are considered warped places where no one goes. This definitely has impacted the wilds, the space between all planes, which have become more chaotic without those guiding influences. No one knows what happens, but with the closing of the Silver Path, which is the path from life into death, and the creation of the Veil, which is what is now the segregation between the Twilight Evenhold and the rest of death, no one has been able to access the souls of the dead, making it nearly impossible for anything to continue growing or expanding in the outer planes. So the cessation was specifically the cut-off communication from Primoria to the rest of the planes. And yes, it caused vast numbers of primals to straight up die. because many of them many of their, and if not most of these primals, their followers were in Primoria. And so
it's okay if you don't want to answer this, but does that affect the afterlife as well of the average person?
And nobody knows. That's actually what the veil is. The veil is for reasons unknown, the purveyor of death, Jundeith, the Bastion, basically cut off and changed death, so that now nobody can see it, nobody can get to it. There used to be time where celestials and different psychopomps of the gods would go to collect the souls of the dead in order to bring them to their afterlife. But if that's still the process, which seems like the case, most people assume that isn't anymore, nobody knows. The veil has kept where once people tended to know where death came, what happened in death, it became a mystery.
With the strange circumstance of souls, in terms of like conjuration and necromancy, is that now an impossibility, or is it stronger than ever?
Actually, that leads to other conversations, which is good. Don't get me wrong. I will answer them here because it's important. Okay. So the closing of the portals meant that, and this is something that you guys did learn, is that it did cause some problems. One, Zitagal used to be a center for it, for communication. It's actually one of the reasons why you know now what Rococo is. That she's a tiefling. Born of both celestial, in fact, closer to what would be considered not necessarily a tiefling, but more of I'm trying to think of the word, a Nephilim, because she is descended of celestial and demonic blood. The thing is that used to be a little more common. When the gates were shut, when this pact was made, it severed all communication, and this had drastic effects. So elemental forces or beings like the Fae or things like that did exist, extraplanar beings that were trapped, became wild, and they started degrading. In fact, that's actually something that happened with the party. The party met with I got his name here, Velindel, the god Velindel, who is the primal that Bernard worshipped, is like a nature god. Velindel's avatar actually was what's called a Luma elemental. It was a god of a thing of life, and it was degraded to such a degree that the world around it was starting to change and warp, because it basically was just becoming energy. It was no longer, it lost its ability to reason. So the only thing that was different is that from the side of Amratlas, is that Amratlas, part of outside of the pact, the original pact, the Autumn Song and Blackspire families worked together to forge another pact behind the scenes. This is something that you know later on that the king was not happy about at all. But basically, this pact allowed them to the only working gateway between all of Primoria and everywhere else. And they were basically using these portals to pull things into this world, which is the reason why the Blackspire family had access to necromancy, because they were able and were able to animate bodies, was because of that pact. But outside of that, as far as the world was concerned, necromancy was impossible. You don't bring back the dead. There was a way to do it, as far as like resurrecting people. It's a game that you have to play that has a good chance of failing, but actual necromancy, summoning of creatures, that's not a thing. And something you may not have caught when it came to the rules was that, as an example, even the most powerful of mages and powerful of clerics can't cast past 5th level magic. Purely they can't.
Yeah.
And that's a large part because of the cessation. So you guys, given the information, like the title, that might make sense. You guys might be able to assume, even at this point, that the cessation is likely meaning the cutoff. But as far as the consequences in the wilds and in the multiverse, that you wouldn't know until later. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
I know it's a bit of an info dump, but it is something that is important, because that is going to give some highlights here. It is something that.
So I got two.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I got 2 questions on that one then. So if the veil has been opened, that means in turn that
The veil is still closed. The veil exists one way or the other. The veil is just the shroud between anything and death itself.
My apologies. Not the veil. What was cutting us off from our main world, cutting us off from? Yeah. So since that has been broken, that doesn't mean that in turn we can conclude that we can cast higher level spells now.
You don't know. That just happened. You have no idea the consequences of that is.
Fair enough.
I mean, you have to keep in mind, most of you probably don't even know that there are higher level spells. If everybody can only cast fifth level spells, why would anybody think? Like, I mean, you gotta keep in mind, like the most powerful being that still walks the plains is Allurend, and Allurend literally he tore the sky apart and made it rain spheres of annihilation. Like that was a god level magic. Be above the only thing the closest thing you could see about that was likely from the Autumn Song family, who could cast slightly higher level spells, and Rococo, the Tsushinoko's family, because they could cast slightly higher level cleric spells. They had access to certain spells that were higher, but to you guys likely wouldn't even know that, because that would have kept secret for the most part. The only reason why even like Rococo likely knows that it was higher level is because of the idea that they resurrected people. That wasn't a thing people did. Once you guys got out, they were like, no one resurrects the dead. That's not a thing. So it wasn't. So like I said, the idea that there are high level spells, that there are anything higher than that, you likely wouldn't even know.
Okay. That's all I got.
So that's the hard part about this game, is you guys are dealing with something that should in most D&D games is a thing known. You don't know. So.
Imagine knowing anything about spells.
Yeah, no. All right, let's go and continue.
Imagine knowing how to spell.
That too.
So to continue.
The cessation was destructive, and with it came an unknowable cost, one we hadn't foreseen. And that is that the Heralds, our connection with our Heralds, was severed. You might have noticed this, Rococo, that in the time that we spoke, it wasn't always that Myrias wasn't always able to speak to you, and that the last Herald you met, even then, did not speak from a position of divinity. There's a reason for that. As I mentioned, you are the last, and it is that causes problems. With what you did in bringing back Citadel and breaking the pact, it is necessary. It was a righting of a wrong that should never have been done. And it is a one step closer to fixing what has been that has altered the very universe around you, which you are even only now beginning to realize even exists. But there is more. With it came a cost. With Zidagal's return came the malcontents.
She takes a deep breath. And there's definitely like I would say there's some hesitancy. If anyone would like to, you can roll insight here to see if you can figure out what that hesitancy is about.
I am always about rolling. Let me at it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, why not?
And Rococo, if you are going to, you would get advantage on this.
Oh, wait, what are we rolling?
If you want to roll insight, if you want to, you don't have to. If you don't think your character would even care, that's fine.
Jesus.
Nice.
My starting rolls are going well.
And Braun, the reason it is important to know too that this definitely, if he hasn't already done, I'm not saying that you haven't figured this out. It's just worth mentioning. This absolutely means that yes, they are telling the truth, that they are from Primordial.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, hey, not only did you just meet the voice of a god for the first time, and holy shit, but hey, these guys, they're from a place that's been gone for 150 years. As far as you're concerned, with a fucking fairy tale. Oh, and by the way, like all this shit, it's like, oh, but also because of them, it's going through hell right now.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. Okay, so from what I'm seeing here, fucking everybody passed it, which works for me. It was a 16, which in the case of Sage Swords, you scrape by.
Double cribs, yo.
Shit, man. So yes, you guys. It seems to be less a matter of that she's trying to avoid it, but more frustration, as if like she wants to say more, but either can't, or is missing something. Like she herself doesn't know. So there's definitely some. It's like it's like for her, it's like she's not trying to hide anything. It's just that if you have a limitation, if someone says, "Hey, you're only allowed to talk about A, B, and C," what can you say that follows those lines that doesn't get you in trouble, right? Like it's like one of those moments when your parent says, "Tell me the truth, you won't get in trouble," and you know for sure that you will get in trouble. So you're like, how do I minimize this while I'm talking?
Yeah.
So
I hate how well you explained that.
But I don't. Let me finish continuing on this one because we do want to end here soon. So let me go ahead and move through this.
There are some things that even to you would have been kept secret. Your siblings wouldn't have known, and that was Saranad's design. In Zitagal, in the Twilight Evanhold, time flows differently than you expect. Due to Saranad's presence, he was able to overrule the laws that normally govern that place. And so you did not see what was truly happening. And that was that time flows different. The malcontents, death itself, changed the moment that the Zitagal was cast into its depths. The spirits went mad, living many lifetimes, in hours, that would take an eternity to understand, and they went mad. And when that happened, death became different. The Twilight Evanhold once was a place where a Militanis would guide one into the afterlife. But without this, with the malcontents, they shattered death into 5 domains of their own control. You are aware of one, the one in which you spent the most time, Delirium. Each is ruled by a malcontent, a representative of a large majority, if not vast quantity, of Zitagalian souls. Each one, in effect, an overlord of its own premise, its own place. Even now, as the gateway was severed, Zitagal was returned. But it is a slow process, and not all of the malcontents are on board. Saranad is seeking to bring Zitagal back and shape the world in its image, utilizing magic. But to be truly honest, we have no idea where it came from. All we do know is that if he is not stopped, if the malcontents are not stopped, the world, Gratiel, Primoria, will be no more. We as the primaries have a duty to uphold the balance of everything. We are caretakers of a structure that spreads across all of creation. This is why we do not interfere. This is why we do not step in. We allow our voices, our heralds, to speak instead.
And you might very well notice how she keeps switching between we and I, as if she is both Myrias and not.
The trouble is that it fast approaches a time where we must step in. my sisters and I have stepped in to speak with our father, Loridian, in order to ensure that this problem can be given a chance to be rectified. It is a mortal problem. Mortals cause this, and mortals should be given the opportunity to fix it. But if it is not fixed, if you fail in stopping what comes, then all of creation will be reset. Everything unmade and remade. And it will not be the world that you know. I'm sorry that after everything you've gone through, that we laid these options at your feet. But know that if your choice is to not get involved, that is valid. And if that is your choice, then we will bestow upon you your heart's desire until such a time that the reset begins. You will live your final days in the true bliss that you desire. But if you wish instead to move forward, to try and stop what is to come, there are steps, there are things that are necessary. And with that, though, it is worth noting you are not ready as you are. But I give this opportunity to you now, a choice. Will you move forward? Will you take that chance? Or will you choose to let this world end?
I feel like Braum in the background is like, the fuck did you just say? Like,
I'm just a detective.
Can Sage like scan like Felandrian and Braum? Like kind of see their faces? Because I mean, sorry.
No, you're right. No, I'm saying it's up to you guys. Like, it's Braum, you know, probably the first one you're going to look to is Braum, because it's probably not lost on many of you. Like, oh shit, Braum just got told you guys are the only ones stopping his whole life from being destroyed. Like,
because like our party, and I don't mean to like turn this into a trope, right? But like, we're kind of used to new shit. It started with, hey, guess what? Fucking animated skeletons do exist. Hey, guess what? Monsters do exist. Oh, now we've been fucking smashing pumpkins into a fucking nightmare world and we're fighting a giant monster tree. Neat. And then, like, they just get worse and worse and worse and worse. And oh, hey, your fucking siblings, they're dead. It's like every little thing after every little thing, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I think we're just used to it, and Braum probably doesn't know what the fuck to expect.
I'm not gonna lie.
The party, it's like,
the course.
Yeah,
I'm gonna slide into
Moon
this
is
real
alive.
quick.
Okay, whatever. We could have guessed.
Felandrian's been very intent. Like, he's been very attentive to the conversation. He has a very determined look on his face.
Okay. That's fair.
and Braum.
Braum is just like, what the fuck?
He's like, his open mouth, his monocle falls out like, oh shit.
In like the top left of the screen, a little message should fade in that says Braum disapproves.
Faylon will actually be the first to speak if no one else does first.
Well, were you gonna say something, John?
I was just gonna say, Braum looks at like the party where like the one guy nearly died from falling off the ship, the guy who wanted bread for birds, the girl that's like attached to a metal leg, and is just like, these are the people who have the fate of my universe in their hands.
Yeah, what's the problem?
If I can be a little bit meta here, the second Braum has that thought pass through his head, I'd like Sage just to start wiping some sand off his back.
Okay,
And like the room is so quiet at the moment that you could just hear like the little grits of sand just falling against the stonework.
We're all just looking up at this speaker, and Sage just kind of complete silence.
You know what this reminds me of? That one meme with the gallows, and we're all hearing all of this, and we're
First time.
but on down
First
on the
time.
right, the Brom were like first time.
Yeah, your whole existence might not exist soon. Yeah, that happened to us recently. You get used to it pretty quick. It's
All right.
sad.
All right, so Felandrian.
I will have
so...
to say,
Uh,
it's not important. Go ahead.
Faylon, he would say, the decisions I made as prince and the actions I took that brought me here before you were all done for the sake of preserving what Amratlas was to me. And that is its people, their comfort, their safety, knowing that as time marches on, that will remain what makes up Amratlas. And for everything to be redesigned in an entire new image is the antithesis to everything I've worked for so far. If all that means is that my job isn't done yet, then I'm content with that knowledge. And I'll keep moving forward.
Who will speak next?
I have a vested interest in saving at least one life on our world.
God damn.
Artan is moved by the prince's words and speaks up as well, saying, he is right. There are lives at stake, and I vow to protect my friends and my loved ones and the innocent people of my country. So, yes, I am in.
Ziren's gonna stand up and just say, out of everything that's happened, the only thing I got left to fight for is pretty much in this room with me, so I'm gonna go with them regardless. This is my family, so if I can help them out, I'm not gonna say no.
Sage is gonna look at the ground kind of ashamed because he knows what he's about to say is gonna come off real negative.
Mhm.
He's gonna say, I mean, technically, I've killed people for less.
Yeah. I gotta be.
Nice.
All right,
About what I
and that
expected.
leaves I think at the end this leaves Rococo.
Coco and Brom.
Yeah. Rococo's gonna give the light face slap to Sage after he says that. Not like a hard one to leave a mark, but just like stop it.
Yeah.
Rococo basically looks and just goes, I made a promise to some level and degree to a dying man who, I guess, has earned his right to be called a father, that I would live. And I can't much live if everything else has to die. And given as far as I've gotten thus far, given that I am in quite a uniquely placed situation of being one of the last heralds, it's almost as if, even if I didn't want to, I have to. Like a responsibility. I think that's what my grandmother would have wanted. Presumably hoping she was a good person. Because you did say the majority of our families agreed on power. And if it was all of them, I believe you would have said so. So I still have a reason to continue. And so I will.
Brom, squalor in the making.
Yes.
You have the right to choose, just as much as any. You will soon be given a fork in the road. An option to assist in what would surely be a profitable future. Or you could take the path with the most danger, the most to lose, but with the potential for a future that will have your name written throughout history as a hero. You, unlike the others, you do not need to answer here, but know that when the time comes, it is a decision nonetheless. The rest of you have answered.
One would be glad to have your assistance in the time ahead.
Any allies we can get would be great.
His time will come to answer. His time will come to answer. For now, time is of the essence. There are paths forward. Our power, the power of the primaries, has been impacted by the cessation in such a way that we are unable to make new heralds. That we were able to do so with Rococo. It was an unusual situation. Rococo. There are many ways forward, but one that is unique to you. We must return the power, the balance, back to this world. If you wish to move forward, you will be tasked with finding and investing in new heralds. Only one is necessary for each of the primaries, so 6 in total. Though if a primary cannot be found, if a herald is not found that is fitting for the primary that they would represent, then you may find 3 priests who will stand and act as conduits for the power of the primals. Primals are dying as the power wanes in Primoria. It will be up to you to either restore the primals and help find priests through which their belief will bring them life, or to find heralds to stand for us. Whichever you choose, it'll be your place. We trust in you. Myrias trusts in you.
Yes. I'll do my best. I hope I can have a little help along the way, looking at her friends, because her friends know Rococo's not a very persuasive person in the typical sense.
Don't worry, I can speak for you.
Okay, well, maybe not speak for me per se, but maybe make my words more palatable for people.
Same thing.
Yeah, yes, because I believe my approach would be, I see someone who has potential, and I would say, "Hey there, you're looking good. You want to be a herald?" And I don't think that's going to work.
I can add a splash of humor in the mix. It's always more palatable once you've got them giggling, right?
I mean,
Yeah, yes.
we can always cut to the end. I mean, there's 6 of us here.
Real May's always had a talent for talking to people. If she says she helps, then I assure you things will likely go well.
Right. Well, I feel like it would be very rushed of me to just immediately give the position of Herald to 6 of my friends, all of which I don't believe have really been religious in any aspects.
Wow, that's offensive.
What dare you assume?
I mean,
While this mission is
Do you
yours
follow a
alone,
god, Sage?
Rococo, you will have allies, your friends here will, of course, serve and serve to assist as they want. This is but one of multiple parts. Even if the heralds are brought back, even if the power is restored, the balance restored, there are those who will stand in that way. The malcontents must be handled. Whether you find a peaceful solution or a violent one is irrelevant to us. It is simply a matter that they must be dealt with. But make no mistake, Saranad is not one who will find a peaceful solution.
As she says that,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry. As she says that, knowing Artan without a second thought, something came to mind. He looks up at the lady and says, "Hey, big lady, how long do we have to complete this?"
Ooh.
You will have 2 years. No more and no less. The Renian will not forestall his hand any longer. But
Very well.
But there is the last fact that none of you, after it wasn't stripped from you, what you have borrowed for so long is now gone. You are not what you once were. And I would be a fool, as would any of the primaries, in bestowing the fate of the universe in the hands of those who are unproven. While you are uniquely capable of doing this, there is the fact that you must prove yourselves to be ready and able for the task.
Even without my position known in this place, noblesse oblige dictates that I use my blade and carve a path forward for my people again.
it would be difficult to save the world knowing that you have the frailty of essentially being killed by a simple goblin.
In 5 months' time, there shall be a contest. Which you understand to be the trial of the first dawning. In 5 months' time, this test will be ran. And you must be ready. You must all pass. If even one of you fails, then the option forward will be closed. But prove yourselves. Pass. Return to the power that you once had. Prove yourself. And in return, I will show you how to return to Primoria and take the first steps in your path.
Don't worry, we'll pass.
How are
We
we?
passed once
Leave
before, we
it.
can pass again.
Wait, we have to take that again?
Yep.
Huh, that answers that question.
Brahm, your captain and yourself have contacts within the city, and I will send a few your way. Do your best to walk to help them. Join them, if you will, in the test. That will be your final answer. If you join them, and if you pass, then I will consider that is your that is your choice. And I will accept you as part, as will the rest of the primaries. We will accept you as part of this pact. Think on it. Unfortunately for now, things must move along. Your captain awaits you. I'm sorry, my friends. I'm sorry that we cannot be of more help. I could not assuage all of your concerns, and I could not promise you a bright future. But the choice remains yours. 5 months. Prove yourselves.
And with
you saved
that-
my life alone. That's my gratitude.
And with that, she will bow her head, and you see, and the room kind of goes a little darker. And then that amber light, the golden hues, would bathe the area in front of her. And you notice that you cannot see her quite through it anymore. It's almost like a curtain has been drawn across her. And the presence that while it's still there, seems to have at least lessened. A dismissal.
So, Sage would look around at his friends. Because, I mean, there's been plenty of thoughts that he hasn't voiced here, but they kind of all pale in comparison to, like, the finality of what we just heard. He would look around and almost questioningly, the only way I can put this is like a percentage. There's like 20% of questioning in his voice here. It's just, there we have it. There's no path forward for the next 5 months.
You're wrong.
We just
need
need
to
to
get strong.
Yeah, we have to do that in the next 5 months. But nothing opens up unless we succeed in 5 months. That's
5 months is more than enough time.
Yes.
Well, no, it's a lot of time. If we dedicate ourselves, I know we can achieve a goal in that large amount of time. It's just, I feel like the pure stress and somewhat boredom of being here, not being able to reach our home, will really be the only thing spurring me on.
Sage.
Well, I've got something to go back to.
Oh.
I will say, we do have that 5 months that we make sure we're physically and mentally prepared. We've been through a lot, and this is taking a lot for me to say because I'm the one that runs, but I'm here ready to fight with all of you. I want to make sure we're at our best. And by starting, I will say we need to talk about what happened and make sure we can come to terms with it so it doesn't haunt us later.
Yes. Home is where the heart is what they say. And right now I see 5 hearts. Looks at Brahm, maybe 6. That
I'm
are
thinking
all
six.
Maybe 6.
that all share a little bit of home inside of us. This is going to sound strange, but the one thing that I'm going to say that might be divisive, I don't bear any animosity towards Serenade.
How could we? This is something Sage has thought too. Like, Serenade was wronged. Absolutely viciously. Serenade is the amalgamation of all those people who just suddenly their right to exist was revoked because a group, like a handful of people said, yeah, we don't give a fuck about millions of lives. Like,
But in exchange, he's taking millions of other lives,
yeah. And I know that's
and that's
wrong.
not okay.
No, like, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Yeah, sure. At the
Yes.
same time, they're doing what was done to them. That's all. They're doing
They're-
nothing more.
They're hurting, which is
Yes.
something I understand. Does that excuse what Serenade is doing? No. But I know where it comes from, which is why I'm going to say something else controversial. I don't want to kill the malcontents. If it seems like redemption is possible, I have a feeling that maybe with my responsibility I can fix them. And if those malcontents all decide that what they're fighting for is not what they actually want, just how they feel in that moment, then maybe Serenade can too.
I would
Hey,
never
if
stop.
If we repeat
ahead.
what they do, how's that going to make us any better? If
Exactly.
he won't learn from his own mistake, why do we have to not learn? Why can't we learn from his? Why do we have to follow in what footsteps he did to make ourselves just as bad?
I would never
I-
to strip away your potential to do good away from any of you. That being said, I have a duty to fulfill nonetheless. But I am not one to hunger for blood with my blade, unless it's absolutely necessary that it must be spilled.
Well, can you
So-
stand Felandrian? Because I'm not sure if you've grown accustomed to the other half of your body yet.
Naturally, I've been sitting up here for a while because I've been a little worried about that.
Do you
Oh.
want some help?
No, I can do
Yes.
this on my own.
Okay. We've got a stubborn hardhead on our party. Shoulder sage. I think our first step, let's get some rest. Let's head to the Twisted Sister and do what Artan said. Air out everything that's been bothering us. Fill Brahm in, now that Brahm, you know we aren't liars. So everything that we've said thus far is true. And if you need time, I understand. And
I'll look over
Rilame,
at Rilame.
we know Bunyar is there. And if anyone probably is feeling upset or vengeful, sorry to presume, but it would likely be you. And I want to tell you that that is perfectly valid. All of us, while we may have lost something, you, I would say, lost something even more precious. So,
That being said, I think it's important that we make our way back as who we are. I wouldn't dare to put a hand on my people if it's been stained crimson with the blood of those who didn't deserve it.
yes. Oh, and Brahm, certainly the mushroom is not going to come back to bite us. It was something. It was a mushroom. What could happen? Anyway.
But no
you
matter
say,
what,
you say that.
That mushroom is my best friend. I love that mushroom. That mushroom gave me a hand once.
but no matter what, we will be home.
What are you like shaking your head at? I'm telling the truth, Matt. What
You
did
had
I say
something
that
to
was
say,
not?
Zirin?
Well, in the interest,
yeah. Just opt for silence there, Sage. That's the best answer.
now, with that, but we are going to end for the night with some hope for the future. The game, you guys suffered quite a bit. You tried to save lives, you tried to do the right thing, and it potentially will cost everybody everything. You bravely decided to move forward anyway. To try and right that wrong, rather than take the offered peace, the offered utopia in the short time you had left. And you've been given this chance. 5 months is what you have. 5 months to gain strength, to pick a new path, or perhaps revisit the old ones, in order to take your first steps forward toward this possible future. 5 months you will take your test, the bronze pillar, the first dawning, and everything rides on your success. This game serves as the starting point for the rest of what's to come. Next game we will have each of you a moment to give you a chance to decide what it is you wish to do, the path you wish to take over the next 5 months, the class you choose to take. I will be doing my best to work with Oro on the side, because it will be Brom who leads the majority of it, or at least get you in contact with those who will be important to you. Some of you may have longer scenarios than others, but in the end, this is where we go. This is where the worthless rise again to show forth the animus of the worthy. Now,
Roll credits.
But as we end, we said the thing. As the end, we have a last bit of work to do. We do need to worry about the last bennies for the game. So,
Forgot about those.
yes, I'm going back to the rule right now. We can talk about it real quick. At the end of every game, we have 2 votes to make. We'll be ending here after that. The first is we vote on who has developed the most in this game. This is an in-character decision, and one that should be mostly in character. Oh, sorry, the one who developed the most. The MVP, for the session. The one who is offered the most, whether in character or out of character, to the continuation of the game. It's important that we do mention that it should, if at all possible, not be the same person as last time. Anybody remember who won last time? Zirin.
Sage, or it was Zirin and Sage.
Well, Zirin won the MVP.
I thought it was. Was it? I thought it was the other way around.
It was Zirin. I think it was Zirin and Rococo, but when Rococo wanted to give his thing to Sage, and if Sage won, Sage wanted to give his thing to Rococo.
Yeah. But
So
it was
ended up going to Sage.
Yeah. So Zirin, it was the MVP, and then it was for the one who changed the most, the one who made the most development, was in that case it was Rococo, who gifted it to Sage. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to our systemic music here at the end here. All right. Now we are going to first talk about the MVP. This should be the one who had the most pull or impact on the game's contents against moving forward in the story itself. Now, this should be, again, an in-character, not out-of-character decision or action that took place. Now, that said, everybody gets the choice to make a vote, and if at all possible, it should be a unanimous one. It's worth, again, mentioning this. The intention here is not to be a popularity contest. The job here, the importance here, is to help people be invested in the game. Okay? So, it's important to me that everybody understand that. So let's start by saying, let's go down the list I have on the left here, and everybody will have a chance to vote. And I would ask you to explain why you voted that way, because I think that working together toward a better game, a fun game, should be explained and rewarded. Now, in that case, on my screen, I have Oro first. Oro, who would you like to give your vote to?
Which category is this for?
MVP.
MVP.
The one
Most
that
valuable
like
participant.
pushed the story the most, basically.
Or yeah, the one that you think had the most pull, the more push to get the game going, and it should be in character, not out of character. That worries.
Okay. I humbly vote for myself for getting everybody to the temple, the cathedral there.
That's a fair point, though.
And also getting, plot bombed with, I was just supposed to take you guys here. And you guys, what?
It's like your Uber driver is suddenly tasked with saving the world. It's like, fuck.
It sounds like a plot out of Deadpool.
I was just thinking that. So, you're gonna vote for yourself here?
I'm gonna vote for myself. Yes, shamelessly.
All right. So that is one for Braum in this case. All right.
For ourselves.
Next, that is Zirin or Flo. Flo, who would you believe was the most valuable participant, the one who had the most influence on today's game?
Okay, so technically I'm gonna have to say it's still probably technically Braum. Mostly because him moving most of us forward most of the way, he was generally there to like explain a lot of the story, but at the same time when we got to the cathedral, yes, he's still there, but a lot of it was just us learning about what happened, what's going to happen next. So I would think that he still had the most sway so far in getting the story moving forward.
Okay.
As if I want to say, do you want me to wait to character development, or can I do my
character development? We waited until the second one, so that means that Meta, you're next.
Personally, as far as MVP, I find it's wild because we've had problems with the party before where everyone has had their own failings. We've had some people who were afraid to speak up, and some people who, and I think all of us at some point have kind of lost our investment, even if we were just distracted or like tired that day. But it's crazy because I'm sitting here wondering who to vote for because everyone has been so involved and like so on it this like the last couple sessions. It's been really cool, and I just want to say that. But I think Braum has been an excellent point between the party and the story in general. So as far as MVP, I gotta go with Braum.
Okay. Nick, you still have the vote because you were sitting here, so you could make that decision too.
Yeah, I mean, do I vote based on since I woke up?
No, whoever you. No, it's just
you said this is in character.
Yeah. No, it's more of a in character who progressed the story or who has helped influence the story the most. So it's an example. Here's some examples. Like Braum in this case is the one who's been driving the story because he's the one bringing people around. He's the one who's been communicating with people. That's great. It could be that Rilame was the one who pushed forward and was the one who kind of forced the we're going to do this. Like no matter the situation, we're going to do this. It could be.
I think I'm actually gonna give it to Artan. Not only because he started kind of bum rushing into everything, first the cathedral door and then down the hall into the stairs and all that, but also since my character's appearance, everything in this cathedral, I like how much Wandi has been putting forward with Artan and how much he's been doing little things, the interaction with his character. I thought it was very appealing. I liked it a lot.
Okay. Then that would be, so that's 3 for Braum and 1 for Artan. Then next would be Rococo or Meta. John, thank you.
We need another vote? Fuck yeah.
I think everybody did a good job today. But if I had to go with leaning on who was the main guide, I mean, I would say Braum in that case. So you know what? I'll just say Braum. Yeah.
Okay. Then Jen, you are next, and again, nobody. It's important everybody vote. It doesn't have to be the same person. It doesn't have, and you can nominate yourself if that's what anybody chooses to do, the way that Bob did. To me, my answer is just keep in mind, it is what has helped in character. So obviously, if someone out of character is like telling the DM to hurry the fuck up, that doesn't count. That's out of character. So.
Yeah, no, I'd have to say to Brom too. Just the whole surprise Pikachu face of getting involved.
That was my reason.
He's like, oh yeah, so these guys, the universe is gonna die because of them. So.
So you're gonna help them.
But his option's still the same, right? It's like, hey, you will have your, in the end, you can have your glory, you can have your, your 2 years of the perfect life if you want to, or you can try and make it not 2 years and make it an eternity, And so the last and not least would be Wandi here, or Sami, sorry.
I'm not gonna lie, it was good. I was thinking of Rilame because I enjoyed our interaction with that. But I'll have to stay Brown on this one just because this is like the equivalent to Artan coming up with an apple to you, and he's more loose in it. Says like, "Here, you're gonna need this because this is the only chance we're gonna be. Shit's gonna be normal for you."
The normal answer is give a banana, but yeah.
Wrong game.
Wrong game. I know. No, this one's eggs. That's right. It's eggs in this one. So
it's eggs in this one.
So
no, it's potatoes.
God, so many. Why are there so many fruits and vegetables? No. So that means that for Braum,
eggs aren't fruits or vegetables.
I know, right? So in this case, this should be. Let me see here. You will receive what's called a character Benny, which can be spent on any character at any time, even other players, though your character must in some way benefit or interact with the character to make it work. So you can be like, if they're in like a whole other part of the town and you're like, I need a +1, you're not there to help them, man. Like, you can't do shit. Now, unless you're like, I can throw a knife on the other side of the planet just for fuck all reason and it somehow hits, like, no. All right, but it is basically a free one. You can use it anytime. It carries over. You cannot have you can have as many of them as you need. You can spend them whenever you want, but they are separate from the 2 that you get at the beginning, because the 2 that you start every game with, those are ones that you can only use on yourself. So this could work on anybody. So make sure and keep that on your character as a separate thing. Okay. And last, of course, at this point, we're going to talk about who developed the most in character. And this can be in or out of character. So if it's someone who normally is quiet, speaks up a lot more, that's something to give. If it is something that someone has, like if their character is normally a goody two shoes suck up, and suddenly is like, hey, I have reasons to want to murder people. That's the thing I want to do. That might be a big fucking change, and that's fine too. So in the end, it is both in or out of character. And it cannot be the same person as last time. So, given the fact that there was a vote, there was a switch here, that would exempt it so that neither Rococo or John or Meta/Sage are able to take it this time. But if you do get voted and you do not want to have it, that is fine. You can give it to somebody else. You just have to explain to me why. Okay. So, we'll go again down the list. Brom, you're first. Who do you think had the most development in this game? This also includes the chat, because there was a lot of talking in the chat. That's fine, too.
Yeah, no, I'm split on a lot of different levels, because back in the chat for the downtime, with Zirin stepping up and climbing up that... the rat lines up to that crow's nest and kind of showing off a bit. That was a pretty nice moment, but during session, I'm split between Sage and Artan. Sage for obviously jumping off of the ship at the start.
I can't be voted for, so that's Artan. But...
Oh, I know, yeah. Yeah, I'm getting to that. But, like, even on the ship with Artan asking about... going to the park and other stuff like that, and then that little moment where he's sitting down with Rilame and feeding the birds. I think those are really nice moments, and that kind of carried forward all the way through to when we finally get to that cathedral, and he's kind of rushing at the doors to see who came through to the other side. just things like that. Really, just nice touches of his character exploring this new world that they're on.
Okay. So Artan is the vote then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Then Flo, you are next.
I had a whole thing set up for who I wanted to say, and I completely give me a second. I got to think about it again.
I can move on to somebody else if you want me to.
Yes, I need to think about it again.
Okay, Meta, you're next.
Okay, so as I said in the last vote, I'm kind of looking at everybody and realizing how far we've come. And I don't know, maybe it was the break that's got everybody excited to play again, but it's really cool. I really like how Artan is kind of now what I wanted Sage to be in, obsessing over his friends, because friends first, and I'm loving seeing Artan be like that. Braum is such a cool new character. I enjoy the aesthetic. I can't wait to see what kind of fighter Oro plays him as. You know, like what choices he'll make, because we know, different classes change your actions, but the player behind it still decides a lot as to how that's going to happen. But I think specifically for who changed the most here, who has shown something really cool, I'm going with Tao. They showed a lot today with Rilme. We've seen.
You're breaking up, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, you might want to come back.
Can somebody else go real quick?
It sounds better now.
Yeah, it sounds better now.
It sounds better now.
Does it?
No.
Okay.
Oh, never mind.
I'm not moving is the problem.
Keep going. I can hear you now.
If you want a second to
Okay,
before I finish,
there we
I
go.
can.
So what I wanted to say was Rilme showing all of that positivity towards Felandrian, all that emotion, and yes, we know that Rilme is having a hard time being away from her lover right now, Miss Boonier, but balancing that sadness and also being super excited to see this friend and clinging to them and all the hugs and the happy, it's a really cool emotional balance that I don't think a lot of people playing D&D could handle, and I think that's super pro. So my vote's definitely going to Rilme.
All right. And so one for Artan, one for Rilme, and of course, Flo, you're welcome to come up if you remembered what you were going to say.
Yes, so I will say I'm going to give it to Artan, but I'm going to say that Rilme was a close second, and I'll say why for both. I'll start with Artan. That Artan has he's come back from being just as I would say the wallflower. He tried before, but he was too timid for a lot of stuff. But now I feel like his timidness had shed off, and he's able to be his true power bottom self now. His true caring, gentle giant, self now for Artan. So I would say that I think Artan's coming the best so far, at least this session I've seen for character development. And I will say Rilme has too, because ever since the whole ending of the rest of the other campaign, she had secluded and was too hurt from losing what she had precious to her. But knowing that she has some kind of glimpse of hope now after seeing, I'm gonna pronounce this fucking name wrong because it's still not one I've learned correctly yet. Felandrian. That she has finally had some sense of, okay, maybe we can get through that. We can get through this. We'll be strong enough together. We can get through this. So it's nice to see that Rilme is also getting there. And I will say, it was funny as fuck to know that Sage literally just nosedived out the front of the ship. But I know I can't vote for him a second time, so I will give it to Artan, and I will say Rilme was a close second. So
okay, and then Nick, you're the next one.
Yep. I think what you just mentioned about a shred of hope is something I'm kind of benching this choice on. I obviously can't go off of growth from prior sessions because this is my first session, but I'm going, if I'm able to give this one to Rococo because I really liked seeing the character deal with this situation, kind of banking everything on the words that someone else says. I actually did get that feeling this was this last shred of hope this person had, or they would crumble. And I think that he roleplayed that pretty well, and I liked it.
Unfortunately, you can't vote for him. He got it last time.
Yep. Then my second easily goes to Rilame. For similar reasons, in fact, and also just ever since Faylon woke up, in terms of like who gave the strongest impression, and also moving past that to see her own like confrontation regarding what she's waiting for back home, I enjoyed that a lot. But I think Shred of Hope is ultimately my defining thing here.
Yeah.
I make a small comment about earlier.
What?
When we were discussing our past and how it was between us, I genuinely had a moment where I wanted to walk up and hug him and be like, "It's been so long, Phil."
Phil?
And just fucking say that Sage calls him Phil, but I was like, I don't think I can commit to it.
You can't commit to Phil. Go ahead, give it a shot.
Well, that means it is now John's turn. John, who do you think was showed the most development here, in or out of character?
Well, honestly, there's nowhere to go but up when you didn't exist prior, so I was going to say Felandrian because there was nothing there, and now there's something there.
Being birthed is a big progress.
From faceless NPC to named
faceless NPC to a person. But I feel like that's a little too cheesy. So I would honestly give it to Rilame, because like towards the end when Rococo like sort of dropped the ball saying that I want to redeem these like terrible things, Rilame is the only one who I feel like is like, no, these people bad, they kill people, no, vengeance mine. And I'm just like, yes, I thought that it was good to have somebody who has a contrarian view to like the rest of the party, showing that even though we are a family and we all love each other, there are still parts of us that we don't approve of within each other. Like, for example, Sage kind of being a bit reckless. A lot of people are like, come on, Sage. But, that's what makes Sage Sage.
I think for a long time, Sage was too reserved to be considered a jester, because I wanted him to be a serious character, but I don't think I can call him a jester and not be reckless and silly and wild. So I'm trying to play him more as I think he should be, especially with all the mental trauma and things we've been through. I think he needs a little bit of loosening.
Good point. That does so. That's
and at least your girlfriend's not toxic anymore.
We'll see.
Yeah. So Artan 2, Rilame 3. That leaves Wandi as the last member to vote here.
Wait, what?
Oh, I'm skipping Jen. Sorry. No, go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead, Jen.
Wait.
I was gonna say there are what, 7 people? There should be an even number.
Too much fun to fuck with you. All right, go ahead.
So who's turn?
Jen, you too.
Yours.
Well, I guess I'm gonna tie the vote for now and say Artan. I would vote for myself, but because I am terrible at expressing anything out loud, I can't give it to myself. Because Matt and I talk about the things behind the scenes all the time. But I do have something I really want to type out that'll explain a lot of what's going on, but that's neither here nor there, so I have to give it to Artan.
Okay. Now Artan, or Wandi. Sami. So many nicknames for you. Call you Breezy.
I'm going to say Ice. You know what? I'm changing that now. God damn, I still love that name. I'm going to say me, because it's all about me, baby. No, I'm gonna give it to Rilame, because when it comes to and when I say this is just solely for me. How I perceive Rilame at times is always reserved. I won't say not pricky. What is the word I'm looking for? Like, flaunt dad's money. prissy is the probably just always reserved and just collected, like not really showing her emotions that much. But seeing this today, that was fun. That it's like getting to know everybody one by one, and I think like when me and Zarin had a moment, and now I think the last person was Rilame, is like I didn't know how to approach her with Artan when it comes to that.
I mean, to be fair, would you not be also upset if someone took this from you?
God damn it.
But yeah, so that means in the end, 3-4 Rilame. That means that next game, you are the winner here. So that means Jen cannot win again next game. This will free up both Meta and John to be voted for next time as well. But that means that the next game you will get a +1 to everything that you do next game. Now, because we didn't really have anything for that there weren't many rolls this game, Meta, you get to keep yours for the next game. Okay, I'm not going to take that away from you. That's not fair. But this is kind of an inspiration. Is how we use it in this game. So Jen, it is your choice if you would like to get to somebody else. Otherwise, you can keep it.
No, I'll keep it.
Okay. So, with
She's
that,
good at rolls.
You say that, and then I'm gonna roll everything really low
no,
next time.
no, the one who needs
That's
the
why he
rolls is
says it.
Nick, because Nick's the one who always rolls
Yeah,
terrible.
this was the typical curse where I get nothing but amazing rolls in my first game. Then when the game where combat actually starts, I'm just gonna get murdered.
Amazing rolls, he says, after just losing an arm and a leg.
So, I got to keep the tradition going. Can we spend our biddings real quick?
You mean the last act of defiance? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right, all right, we'll give you a last act of defiance. So remember, guys, this is
Can I
where
go
you
first?
can say last thing you do before the credits roll. So, yes, go ahead, Artan, you're first.
As our conversation about jumping earlier, I'll take 10 feet back and just try to say, like, I can make that. And I'll start running towards the edge and trying to jump over the railing.
Okay. Just face plants the bottom.
Go ahead and roll your acrobatics.
His foot catches on the railing and he face plants.
Hey, Matt, from the point that he jumps, what are the chances he lands where those steps are and has to stumble?
Oh, what did he roll? 11. That is not enough, man. You are going to catch your foot. So,
Spin a bit, baby.
all right, roll it.
My God.
Only get you
Go
one.
spend bennies.
All right. All right.
Hey.
So yeah, it is going to win. So you're going to leap off of the edge. You're going to stumble. Like at the last second, your foot kind of went over the edge, like gripping it, and you almost beefed it. But you were able to turn that what would have been a faceplant into a nice somersault, and you land standing at the end.
Superhero pose.
Yep, it's like that moment of like, ha! I meant to do that. No, the fuck you didn't. So, but you made it. So he's
Perfect.
like,
I'm done.
yes, I got it. Then, Jen, that would be yours, which really means last act of defiance.
I have no idea.
Stay quietly plotting the death of every malcontent you can find.
Yeah, sure.
You don't have
Roll
to.
deception?
You don't have to at all, man. But it's that means for Rococo, is there any last act of defiance you want?
I'm gonna I'm gonna pat Brahm on the back and just go, hey, there's no quicker way to a lady's heart, or a man's heart, if that's how you roll, than becoming a hero.
Convincing.
But still trying to be the wing woman.
Oh man. And Felandrian, who is not Faylon, Felandrian.
I'm not sure if this counts as really an act of defiance, but I did have something he wanted to ask Rococo. At some point as they're walking out, he would ask, Rococo, are you perhaps afraid of obscurity, or rather, is stagnancy a better word?
You. That's pretty deep. That's a pretty deep question you're asking right now, Felandrian, but I guess if I'm being honest, yes. I don't see myself as somebody who can just sit idly by when the person that I admired most in my life, my grandmother, who was venerated as a hero, would have done something good. I could easily decide to be like my father, or like my mother, says that with venom, because obviously does not like his mother.
Ow.
But if I said no, and I did say stagnant, if my grandmother were still alive, and so long as I cling to the hope and belief that she was a good person who perhaps opposed the rest of the family when it came to the decision-making of Zidagal, it would be an affront to her and spitting in her face to sit idly by.
I see.
After all, she was an angel that fixed a demon, you could say.
That's a lot of dice.
So
I'm glad that I have someone to relate to. My feelings on this aren't too far from yours.
Exactly. And if a demon can be made a good person, then I think these malcontents who are also suffering, what may seem impossible, I believe we can make possible.
Of course.
All it takes is faith. And while I was never one for my father's church or how they decided to enact their worship, I, at the very least, know that I can have faith in myself and the people I trust. And puts a hand on your shoulder.
Well, guys,
I'm glad to hear you
unfortunately,
say that.
we are
And
running out of time, so
Let
because
me
of that...
respond.
No! We have to end it. The meta's waiting on me. So, what we're going to do is this. Because we didn't get to you guys, Meta, Flo, and Braum all get a start the next game with a free Benny. So.
I have like 4 bennies next turn, or next round then. Jesus Christ. What am I supposed to do with that?
No, next game will be rolls,
Did
man.
Willamay get her last act?
I didn't have anything really, so.
But thank you guys for joining us. Again, this is the end of Animus of the Worthy Game 2. I will be posting this up in my YouTube here as soon as possible. Next game will be the 18th of April, unless anybody has any issues with it. So please make sure, guys, it is in the event. Try to be here. We are starting at 7:30. The time is on there. If we have too many, and unfortunately I mean this with all the kindness of my heart, but if we have people who are constantly late or do not show up, especially no call, no shows, there will be a point where I have to tell that person to leave. It is not, I'm not targeting anybody. It just something is, we've had already a couple of games that have had that happen. I just want to reiterate, if you commit to the time, that's the time. Okay, we start at 8 o'clock. If not, everybody's here. Okay. All right. That's it, guys. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. I'm stick around for some conversation, but at this point, we're gonna go ahead and cease the recording. Thank you, guys.